Jacob, please tell.
While watching.
Somebody, please tell me that we watched Fallen Angels and not Chungking.
No, it's Chungking.
Yeah, what?
Oh my gosh,
What?
John. Are you
joking? Is this a joke? Troy, you told me Fallen Angels.
No!
You told me Fallen Angels multiple times.
No way.
I can literally go find the text. I can find the text you told me over the phone to watch Fallen Angels. Are you kidding?
Oh my god. We're back, baby. Classic weekly podcast. This is the.
Are these weekly?
This is the classic. Yeah, these are weekly, baby.
Yeah, we've been posting them every single week.
If you're listening and you're saying, what? At best, these were every other month, and at worst, it's been months since the last one. That's because you're not on our Patreon, which you can't sign up for. We have. Listen, it's an exclusive thing. We're not taking new Patreons at the moment.
Patreons.
We're taking new patrons at the moment. Anyway, so
follow us on Patreon.
Matreon? Alright, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Alright.
We are no longer supporting Patreon.
Alright. So, as you've heard, today we're talking about 1995, Fallen Angel. Wong Kar-wai? Wong Kar-wai? Wong Kar-wai? I've heard some people say Wong Kar-wai. I've seen some people say Wong Kar-wai. Obviously, white boys in the chat, Wong Kar-wai. Anyone want to put forth an SOP? Yeah, what are we going with?
Just Wong Kar-wai.
I want to go with way. Can we not? All right,
we're going Wong.
Is it actually?
Listen.
Is it actually
I think
Wong Kar-wai?
Yeah.
I've only heard it.
Okay, I like Wong Kar-wai because it's still. We're not trying to go the full Chinese, where it's like Wong Kar-wai.
Why not?
Yeah.
But we'll do a little mix. Wong Kar-wai.
I'm gonna say wrong car way.
Holy shit! Did you guys see
because
how
I'm not
terrible his teeth are? Oh my goodness.
He's got some bad teeth.
Rotten teeth. If you go to his wiki, go to his wiki.
Let's look at his.
For our users at home, it looks like he's been eating poop and refuses to brush his teeth.
All right, I'm looking at his teeth. Podcast canceled.
Well, dude, you see it. I mean, you see how much everybody smokes in the movie. It's like
so true.
God damn it, fucking Bing Bong Way, man. What is he eating?
Okay, so
what did I do?
All right, so we're talking about Fallen Angels now. We've all got beef with this decision. I think Sam has something to say. I think Sam's got something.
What did I have to say? It seems, well, based on everything I've read, it seems like Chungking Express and Fallen Angels, they almost seem like they need to be reviewed together. I don't know it because I don't know that for sure because I haven't seen Chungking Express, but
that's probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is also what my estimation. Well, he says that all his films are on this continuum. What you say la vie?
No, I said they were the same movie.
Yeah, they're all the same movie. So you can, if you've seen one, you've seen them all.
He'd be saying "Say la vie."
Yeah, win from Wong Kar-wai.
Wong Kar-wai in a recent interview said, when asked about all his movies, said "Say la vie."
Anyway, yeah, no, it does seem
extremely keyed.
Okay.
Nice. Anyway, so he apparently Fallen Angels is like extremely linked and is sort of meant to be subsequent to Chungking.
It was like written
in a development,
Chungking, right?
Yeah, he says it's like the third story of Chungking, but that it would have been too long, so he made it into a separate movie. So that does kind of stink. But also apparently they're still really different. Like Chungking Although it's evil that I even know anything about Chungking, and even more evil that I continue to disseminate information.
Well, I just want to be transparent.
It's apparently much more like
that, I didn't know there was any
grounded
relation
and narratively
between
focused than Fallen
Chungking
Angels.
in this movie.
Which,
it's much
not
less
to
like
sneak
John.
peek my own views, but
I just
could have
noticed,
used some of
well,
that.
I don't know if it was a coincidence or not, but there were certain points when the word
I just want to be
Chungking
transparent.
was... Yeah, the Chungking Hotel. I was like, what? But I didn't know that they were related.
It was the name of the hotel, right?
Well, it's a name. It's a location, yeah. So no one's seen Chungking except John, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I feel like the three of us have discredited ourselves now.
All right, perfect. Let's just.
Yeah, now I will talk for the next 2 hours.
Yeah.
Everybody shut the hell up.
All right, so maybe I'll read this description from Criterion, and we lost souls reach out for human connection amid a glimmering Hong Kong in Wanggarwei, hallucinatory neon-soaked nocturne. Originally conceived as a segment of Chungking Express, only to spin off on its own woozy axis, Fallen Angels plays like the dark, moody flip side of its predecessor as it charts the subtly interlaced fates of a handful of urban loners, including a coolly detached hitman looking to go straight, his business partner who secretly yearns for him, and a mute delinquent who wreaks mischief by night. Swinging between hard-boiled noir and slapstick lunacy with giddy abandon, the film is both a dizzying and dazzling city symphony, a poignant meditation on love, loss, and longing in a metropolis that never sleeps. Ugh, this movie sucked. Okay, let's do opening thoughts. Who goes first? Me. Okay, listen. Okay, well, no, I'm in the top. Okay, listen, we go by Discord, okay, and I think I'm there because, well, actually, it doesn't make sense. But anyway, this movie, I'll use some technical language here, and we can go over the vocab after, definitions, whatnot.
Uh-oh.
Listen, the movie's a vibe. The movie's a straight vibe. It's a straight vibe. Now, I love the vibe. I was having fun. But was it low-key busting all over my face like jizz and cum would? I don't know. But I did really like it. I had a lot of fun. A lot of interesting things. A lot of things I'm not a huge fan of. So, I'm feeling good about it, but it didn't... I am disappointed, ultimately. It didn't rock my socks. I have seen In the Mood for Love, and I was ready for that level of... I was ready for that level.
Even though I prepped Troy.
And by John saying prepped, he literally called me when he found out I was going to watch Fallen Angels, said, hey, just so you know, it's not as good as Fallen Angels. I mean, it's not as good as In the Mood for Love, and you're not going to like it. Imagine how that affected my experience.
That is not what I said.
And I just want to say
that
also,
is not what I said.
My prediction for this pod is that, yeah, we're going to have a good time talking about Fallen Angels, but it's going to be much more, it's going to be a ripe proving ground for just arguing about stuff in general. And I think John and Sam share a lot of commonality in their hatred of me and some of my approaches. Like when it comes to this topic of spoiling and things like this. But anyway, that's all I got. John's evil.
All right. This is the second time I watched this movie, and I like it. I like the movie. I think it's like kind of strongest points as like a full film, like from start to finish, is like atmospheric. Like it is definitely a vibe. But I do think there are definitely, especially the second time around, like, you know, the first time I watched it, I had watched In the Mood for Love. I really liked In the Mood for Love. I'd seen it several times, and I thought that this movie was going to be similar, and then it's just not even close to similar. But so it was kind of jarring. It took me a while to like really get into it or care about anything. But I don't know. The second time around, like knowing a little bit more what to like expect, I don't know. I was kind of surprised at like certain certain scenes, like the, I don't know, kind of level of emotion and stuff in certain scenes, it would just like suddenly like would just be like emotionally effective in a way that I was not anticipating. But I don't know, I really enjoyed it this time watching it, and I generally like the film, but there's that. I mean, yeah, I don't like everything though, but and it's not like, not knock my socks off, as Troy would say, but but yeah, I do like it.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna tack on to the dog pile here, the vibe pile, and say it was definitely a vibe. I feel the way I felt at the end. The word I would have used instead is it's very moody, and sometimes to a fault. But for the most part, I think it lands good. I feel like the themes though, like I didn't find myself particularly like immersed in the film. Maybe it is because of those moments where it feels like I don't want to say angsty. I the best word I can think of is moody. And like especially with certain characters and also with the music, and just like other things involving sound in the film.
'Cause I'm cool.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of the music used. I mean, it almost like there's a part of me that's like well, maybe I don't know the time or the place. That this movie, like the context of the movie and like the culture at that time. I don't know anything about Hong Kong, blah blah blah, but it doesn't really matter because it just didn't strike me in a way that was like I guess like moving or anything. But like I liked the themes. I liked you're showing right now like these shootouts. The shootouts were actually.
I can't believe how long this scene is. I can't
believe I'm talking. It seems like
it goes by
and
pretty
you're
quick.
talking in the middle.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. No, I loved a lot of the shootouts. And like a lot of the the way it was filmed. Sorry, Troy. What were you saying?
No, I'm just saying I can't believe how long this scene is. I remember it being much shorter.
Is this you're just replaying it over and over again, though, right?
What are you talking about?
Sorry, I was just watching out of the corner of my eye. Yeah, that was the one thing that was kind of disappointing because I really liked a lot of the cinematography and like what was happening on screen was really cool and fascinating. But then I feel like it's difficult to connect to it in the same way if like you're not really there on the music and the soundtrack, and especially for something that's like this where it's supposed to be like it felt like it was very like aesthetic forward. If that's not there, it's kind of hard to connect in the same way. So
is it my turn to go? So I just want to first of all make a complete 180 from this sort of vibe language. I think it's very reductive, and I think it's gonna hinder us in our talking about this movie. And with that out of the way, I just want to get my opening statement out. So this is the ultimate Sigmatic movie. It's a combination of Blade Runner,
Let's move away from
Drive
vibe.
2011.
This is Sigmatic.
Blade Runner, Drive 2011, Nightcrawler. It's basically a combination of all of that, except, of course, in Hong Kong. This is, obviously has very heavy noir elements. Basically, the entire time in the movie, it's nighttime, and that sort of adds to the Blade Runner-esque, Nightcrawler-esque vibe, quote-unquote, as my other interlocutors would put it. I think that a lot of this was influenced by, genetic memory and how the Chinese, especially in Hong Kong, were traumatized by the Opium Wars, because obviously Hong Kong was a part of the British Empire. The British ruled it for a long time, and they actually retreated in the 80s, as is referenced in Rush Hour 1. So yeah, they're basically dealing with the fallout of opium trafficking and British rule, and this is a way for these wrong roadway to to basically process that trauma. The shootouts, of course, added to the whole traumatic. It was the energy, sort of escaping, being expressed. That traumatic
Like an Instant Pot.
energy. Also, I'd like to just add that this movie's stance on women is pretty clear. Women are evil, as far as this movie is concerned. And I also thought it was interesting how the mute sadist character, he becomes obsessed with filming things. And that's clearly a statement by the director that media and film is evil. And
Yes.
And is for mute sadists.
overall, I'd like to just... I'm going to agree with everyone in saying that this was a vibe. Just looking at the movie, I wouldn't have initially thought that it would be worth watching. But I think you can't judge a book by its cover, and I found myself to be instantly immersed in whatever was going on, mainly vis-a-vis the aesthetics of the film. And that's all I have written down, so
Awesome.
my opening statement's over.
Obviously, Jacob did his homework. Because he's spot on with the British China dilemma. And
The BCQ.
the BCQ. He's following with the BCQ, and it's been super discussed how, and I felt this when watching the film too, like the like super strong Western elements in the Chinese, like a sort of antagonism between the strong Western elements in a Chinese world. And this is taking place in like this kind of transitory period between British and Chinese, like political dominance of Hong Kong. But well, all right. Well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Here we have a postmodern film that I'm not a huge fan of. This whole thing of like, listen, if you're Kafka, fine, you get a pass, but you want to shoot everything in this absurd wide angle and make me immediately feel very disconnected from the characters to reflect their disconnection with their world and their peers and the two narratives that never connect. Yeah, I get it, but it makes it hard to love these people, it makes it hard to care, and I think I wish there was a little more of a narrative, because the vibe's not going to take me far enough. Chicago Sun guys, said it's style over substance. Roger Ebert said it's kind of, first of all, fuck Roger Ebert.
I was say you can't quote Roger Ebert to
No.
support what you're saying.
No, I'm allowed, because I want to get to Sam's thing about the angsty, because that I think I have some interesting thoughts on. But it's kind of exhausting and kind of exhilarating. It will appeal to the kind of people you see in the Japanese animation section of the video store, with their sleeves cut off so you can see their tattoos, and to those who subscribe to more than 3 film magazines, and to members of garage bands, and to art students. It's not for the average moviegoers, unless of course they want to see something new. Which I think is like really just a style over substance claim. But I don't know, there are movies that are debatably just pure style that I've really enjoyed. And on the topic of the mute guy, that, like, sometimes it does feel, I don't know if angsty is the right term, but almost like a sort of like a Kaufman type thing, or like a just like almost too like it comes off as maybe overly quirky, which I've unfortunately, it helped me notice that I've just become irrationally allergic to quirkiness. and I tried to put those allergies aside. But is anyone vibing with my vibe right now?
I think
you know what I'm saying. But like the mute guy, and the
no,
girl. It's so wacky and quirky and crazy.
I think the first time I watched it, I think it's like an adjustment thing of like just generally where like you're sitting when watching the film, because especially this time around watching it, I mean, I don't know, I took a lot of that stuff just for granted, you know. It wasn't like, oh man, do I really believe that this guy just chose to stop talking or something, you know? Like, that's so weird. It was like, I don't know, I just kind of took it for granted that it's like just part of his character, and then didn't think about it at all, like past like some kind of like qualifying it. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like this is like, and also kind of like an aversion to like maybe some like the really strong genre elements like that, like may have been alienating or something too. I don't know. I feel like these are things that are like, I don't think they're necessarily things wrong with the movie. I think there are things wrong with like the way one watches the movie, because I do think that there's like a lot of genuine like really good emotional content, and that like, I don't know, if it's keeping you at a distance because of these like elements, or like, I don't know what you're labeling as like quirkiness, like, I don't know, watching it this time around, I don't know, I just like, that did not seem like that much of a barrier to me, even though I know you're like, I don't think it's the same thing. I don't think it's the same thing as like Wes Anderson's like less emotionally compelling movies, you know, where
It's just
Wes Anderson, it's like the aesthetic literally gets in the way of the emotional content. Like, I think this movie is actually super emotional, and it also is strongly, like, very, very strong aesthetics and atmosphere and like genre elements, like kind of playing with each other. But I think that it has both. It, and like, I don't know. I think that like, I don't know, because I mean, I'd be being hypocritical if there weren't like points where I felt like, okay, yeah, this is just not hitting, because like I'm not like super into this particular thing that's supposed to be cool, you know. But like, but I don't know. I don't think that's, I don't like fault the film for that, or Wong Kar-wai for that necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think the quirkiness is like getting in my way. I'm just saying, at first I was noticing an aversion to it, which made me sad. But I think too much of the film, this is unrelated maybe to the quirky thing, but just saying like sometimes stuff hits and sometimes it doesn't, and there isn't like, for me, a coherent enough like overall thread that I'm following that keeps me engaged like all the way through, the way, you know, a narrative normally would serve to do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like sometimes, for example, like when we get introduced to the mute guy, I think he explains, right? Didn't he like eat a can of pineapple or something?
Yeah.
He used to be very talkative.
And it exploded?
Before.
Yeah.
No, he just eats it and doesn't talk. It was expired.
Yeah, this is when I was gonna get into just like having problems with there not being like a thematic like thread that like holds it together. This is when watching Chungking Express would have been useful, which I don't know. It's like that just because a lot of what's kind of built up and focused on Chungking Express is like further talked about and played with in this film, and so I don't know. Which, not to say that we can't talk about it or something, but just to say that like
We can't talk about
I don't know. Just to bring it up that's like, I don't know. Seems still relevant. Yeah.
Can we address the elephant in the room? Which is that I obviously was supposed to like this movie the least, but I'm honestly feeling like I might have enjoyed it the most, just from what I'm hearing from everyone.
I just want you to know I wouldn't have said that.
I'm just saying that.
What hit?
For me, okay, I'm gonna try my hardest to not use the word vibe.
Yeah, let's get real.
As a crutch,
Listen, we were being
But
funny earlier. Time to
I'm
get
just-
real.
So kind of
Time to be real.
having a window into these people's lives. I just I don't know. I just found it very, the little narrative there was, I found intriguing, and it was like none of it seemed like, I don't know, overly contrived or like hard to access. Like, it wasn't like each of the characters was just it wasn't like they were each just kind of like an amalgamation of like weird ideas, and they weren't like they didn't seem like people. Like, I felt like all the characters were like they were obviously like it was easy to view them as like people and not as just like, because a lot of other movies we watch, like, the characters can very easily just be made into like idols for different ideals, and I don't think that was like what was going on in this. I think that they felt a lot more human, and it was just I just felt engaged in like their life, and I don't know, a lot of that is probably still due to like the aesthetics.
No, I think
But-
I mean I don't know. I feel like especially the mute guy, like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely got like pretty emotional during the whole like video camera stuff, and like just like building up to that point, it's like he's obviously like insane and does all these weird kind of terrible things, but like in the context of the film, it's like not, it's like so, I don't know, I like spending time with him, like the scenes are so funny, and I don't know, I find him like entertaining, and like he's more of like a, yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's a real person. Like, I don't think it's totally like he's just some weird crazy guy or something like that, and I like can't relate to him or something. Like, I like him,
Right. Well, I'm just like, I'm more responding to like Troy when he says like he would have appreciated there being a little bit more narrative to like guide the film, whereas like I feel like they're like the
It's more about interest in the individual people or something.
yeah, it wasn't, it was more of like a character, not a character study, but just a like a slice of, saying slice of life is it's not really that accurate, because slice of life would be like, I feel like that insinuates more like normal day to day, but these people are obviously not just like normal people.
Listen. Let me clarify
Troy's
my
evil.
take, if that's all right. Okay, clarification. Okay, so I'm just saying, look, I really like the film. Wong Kar Wai, wrong car way. What is it? Road car wrong? What'd you say?
Road. I said it was the wrong roadway or something.
Wrong roadway. I can't even talk. Anyway, look. He's setting up, right? He's got a vision for this film, and in that vision includes, right, all these restrictions, right? And part of that is no narrative, and subsequently, you don't really get to see the characters make decisions. Now, that's not 100% true, right? We see the criminal decide to go clean. We see the criminal also decide to leave behind the crazy hooker girl. We see the former partner decide to kill the criminal. So we see like these decisions, but not the same type of like, mosaic of choices that you get with a narrative film. And so, right, you really are watching these characters kind of just operate, but not necessarily make these decisions. So I'm just saying, in terms of like my experience of watching it, and the sections in which I'm like really emotionally connected, like the ice cream truck. I thought the ice cream truck was great. Or right, the mute filming, or honestly, virtually anything with the shooter. I love that guy. Like, it depends on how much the immediate moment is connecting with me, and sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. There's times there's especially some shots that I think were just virtually, or not virtually, but a bit gratuitous in their time. Like, it's not something that's connecting with me. Essentially nothing is happening, and it's just going on a little too long for me to maintain, like, locked in and connected. And other things not so much. So, like, I'm not saying, oh, I wish this film had a narrative, because, right, that wouldn't be the film. But I'm observing that because there's no narrative, how connected I am to the film and characters is, like, super temporal and, like, has a lot to do with what's going on right now, because it's not like I've really gotten to know them so much, or like gotten to, you know, follow them on an arc, you know, in which, like, every current moment is a function of their past and where they're trying to go, you know.
I think that's like part of what makes the movie good, though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But that's
like it like allows for a more like kind of like moment to moment like emotionality that usually you have to, like, in a narrative film, in order to, like, justify a certain level of, like, emotion or action in a given scene. You have to consider all actions made before and, like, oh, does this make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas this film is a lot more kind of like, it's almost like every scene is like kind of like a impulsive, like, spur of the moment kind of burst of, like, little emotional things, and, you know, some hit, some don't, and, like, obviously there is, like, but yeah, I don't know, I feel like the scenes are very, like, isolated in that way, yeah, because there isn't a narrative. But that allows for, I think, like, yeah, a certain kind of, like, a certain way of, like, relating to the characters that you can't really do in a narrative film, or like a more narrative film.
Yeah, 100%, right? That's what it's going for, and that's what it's achieving. And and I like that. But it has its pros and its cons, is what I'm going for. And
sure,
like Elsmore mentioned earlier, with the obvious British Columbia China Opium War sub narrative, this style lends itself to increasing levels of disconnection and alienation and whatnot. And also just want to throw out there that the mute guy really, in terms of what you're saying, like, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, but it's not unreal, you know, I think goes with a general, like, I mean, maybe it's like a totally irresponsible and incorrect stereotype of, like, postmodern literature having these types of characters, but, like, this totally sounds like, you know, a DFW character, you know, or something like this, or it's like, you know, a guy who's mute because he ate an expired can of pineapple when he was 5, and at night he takes over closed shops and pretends to work there, you know, like,
yeah,
it's just, it's kind of like wacky and zany, like, but yeah, it's wacky and zany, but it's also fun, and it's an interesting idea, and the character itself isn't unreal. Like, it still remains grounded enough for you to care about them.
I think that's a good comparison. Like, as like a DFW.
Thank you, John.
Character, it makes sense.
This movie should really be called Moonlighting, because
should be called Cruising.
The whole movie takes place at night, except for the very end, right? And everyone is just moonlighting, like the mute character. He's moonlighting as all these different professions. The shooter is basically just he's a moonwalker. He only walks at night, and he's.
Whoa! You don't think the movie should be called Night Stalker?
I think he also, you know, he moonlights in debt collections. Anyway,
American.
That was just a little segue to introduce my time to talk. Well, anyway,
who do we want to have
in classic Jacob fashion? I'm gonna continue to try to deconstruct this movie and analyze everything, overanalyze everything. So,
who are you most attracted to?
Correct.
No. Line of inquiry.
No. So,
yes, you're right. That is how we approach this film.
No. So the movie's called Fallen Angels, which is like equally.
We've
At first glance, it's kind of like a corny title or something.
We've all read Dante.
Like, it's like, oh, fallen angels. Oh, everyone's they've got this. They've got good in them, but we're all fallen. We all understand that, right? But if you kind of suspend your disbelief for a second and really try to think about that, each character obviously has their own set of like specific flaws, right? Like the partner female character, she's like stalking Mr. Shooter, and she masturbates on his bed like every day, which was like those were like wild scenes.
Those scenes are crazy.
At least the first time when
We've
it
all
happened.
been there.
We've all been there before.
With like the music playing and like she's just like masturbating on his bed, like that was
For so long. Which I didn't mind because of the fishnets. If she weren't wearing fishnets, I would have minded. I would have
right,
mounted.
She's like a sexual deviant in general, because like not only does she do that, but like she has like the weird like porn pillows in her room, like her actual room.
Well, she just wants to be
And
close
then
to him.
something I thought was interesting about the Shooter character was like when he introduces himself, he talks about how he's like a lazy person and that's why he needs a partner to like plan out all this shit for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of funny too, because like she cleans up his apartment, so like he's living like the neat assassin lifestyle. Yeah. But moreover, he I don't know if this is like, I'm not trying to fact check the movie or anything, but when he's on the bus and he meets his old like grade school
the insurance salesman,
which I thought was a really fun scene. But like he gets the wedding invitation and then just like immediately like throws it out the window.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was, because you can get into the whole thing of like, okay, sure, like obviously he's like making decisions all the time, right? Otherwise, like he wouldn't even be able to. There'd just be nothing there to analyze, or like there'd be no movie if he wasn't like doing stuff. But like on like a deeper level, you can make some sort of like commentary about how like, oh yeah, like he thinks he's this lazy person and he just wants everything done for him, but like he's also kind of like choosing to live this sleazy, murderous lifestyle, and like what does that say about him as like a character and a person, that like he chooses to just constantly throw himself in these dangerous situations.
Yeah, very.
And that's a choice that he's making.
Very contemporary commentary, yeah, probably on the current neat trends in culture. I mean, isn't this kind of the point of his final lines about, like, he's saying like, maybe I should start making my own choices and whatnot. Well, I don't know. I felt like his final thing was kind of saying something along the lines of like an acknowledgement that his own choices have led him to his death, and not just like, oh, I just, I don't make choices. But
what's also, actually, sorry, I don't want to derail your point, but I just have something to say about the last line. Go ahead.
And I think him throwing out the wedding invite is a good example of like, yeah, he's making an obvious choice, but it's also like would appear to the person making that choice as like a way of doing away with decision. Like an invite, instead of like in some way like facing the invite, you just throw it out the window. But yeah, I do like his partner as sort of like a mommy GF character, cleaning his room, taking care of him, making the and just like any mother to her son, as time goes on, wants to get close with them, wants to connect with them, wants to, but cannot understand them.
Yeah, just like any mother to his son, she breaks into his apartment when he's not there and
And masturbates on his bed.
I just want to.
We all know what I'm talking about.
I just want to top off with my kind of like character.
I bet you do.
Analysis.
I bet you want to get your top off.
The mute character, right? Like he's.
Yeah.
Well, everyone in this movie is a little bit
Handsome
a little
as
bit
shit.
sadistic, right? But like he takes it to another level of like. He's like just extorting people constantly, like violently.
Yeah.
And especially the fucking long hair character guy. That was a
I love the
that
ice
was a
cream
fun
truck.
arc.
Yeah, I love how
Because
he,
the
like,
family
keeps
looks
showing
really
up.
happy
Yeah.
when they're driving around.
Well, that was a really, and you brought up alienation. Like obviously, there's a kind of like thread of alienation through all this, and it has something to do with
Like forcing
maybe
people.
the historical context. But like in that, like this mute character is probably what it's hard to say, but like he's obviously very alienated, and in that scene, he's the one that's like. I feel like in the movie he's constantly trying to escape his circumstances as downtrodden, alienated dude. Like whereas the other people are kind of content in their lifestyle and they don't show any like consistent drive to change or something. Like he's constantly, I think he has like multiple goes through multiple big changes, and he's like he has his first love, and he's doing the ice cream thing, and he's filming his dad, finds a new passion, gets a job, and so he kind of has like a general upwards trend, and of course like looking at the end of the movie, he gets the girl, and he's kind of like he wins, but it's like this is if you wanted to thread any sort of like continuous narrative, I think it would be in the mute character, and you can kind of piece together a sort of coming of age story for him, and that's kind of
I think the way
I think it's fair.
the thing about that's interesting is that you'd say like he seemed like he was the one who had to change or something, like his lifestyle was like not enough or something, like something was missing and that's why he had to change. But I feel like at any given point in the movie he seemed to be the only one who, or maybe not the only one, but he seemed happy at every stage, and he even said it at the beginning, where he explicitly says when he's describing what he does with all these shops and sneaking into them at night, he ends it with saying, and I'm happy. And it feels like it then goes into the montage of him, like, forcing all these people to accept his services. And it actually seems like he's quite happy doing it, like he really wants to do it and he likes doing it.
He loves getting beat up at the end.
Dude, I love how he's like provides like a reverse service. How he like forces us, like most people would pay for a service, but instead he gets them to pay not to give them the service. I don't know. But he did seem content at like every stage of the film, even though he does transition into like different different modes, and like his interests change. But
something also that's interesting about him doing, like forcing people with the service and stuff is that like, and I think this happens with the ice cream. It's kind of like the world that we're presented in the film. Maybe there's more like normal world.
This is
outside these people.
Sorry,
world.
this is the only Hong Kong that exists.
This is the only Hong Kong that exists actually. But it seems like he is in some ways. I mean, it's not like he's like mugging them, and the scenes are fun, and the people that he's like doing it to seem to be like angry or pissed, but also like kind of having fun too, like especially whenever that guy comes back, like the same guy that he like he's like when he first comes to the ice cream thing, he like kind of like smiles when he like tries to get away and he like grabs him. So I don't know. It seems like the service that he's providing is kind of perverse. Which like the service he's providing is some kind of just like momentary. I don't even know. Just like game, like to play with people or something as he like forces them to get their hair cut or whatever.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting like observation that he is what Sam said. He's happy the entire time throughout the film, although he's also going through the most change. And
Okay.
Sorry, what? You wanna?
The obvious needs to be stated.
what?
The elephant needs to be addressed.
The elephant needs to be let in the room.
The
Let
elephant
that
needs to
sink
let
in.
the sink in. Okay.
Somebody asked the elephant to let the sink in.
Okay, so here we have a 1995 Hong Kong, a postmodern world wherein 4 people, is it 4? 1, 2, 3,
Say postmodern
5.
again.
Hold on. Postmodern. Done. Anyway, in which they all navigate it differently, and the mute guy is our child character. Childlike guy. He has
also
this kind of
literally a child
huh?
because he's got his father too. He's like
Yeah, he's a child, and what do you mean? Oh, you're helping me.
Yeah, yes,
I'm helping
he
him.
lives
I'm
with his
saying
dad.
He's literally
Good.
like it's not just he acts like a child, but he like
Oh.
lives with his father.
Yeah.
He has a relationship. with
Literally a
his
child. Sorry, I'm used to just ops on all sides.
dad.
I'm used. Oh, anyway, so I'm used to catching fades. Okay, so he anyway, yeah. So he's got this kind of like childlike thing, an innocence, a belief, almost like a modern view in a postmodern world, and he's like trying to figure out how it works, right? Like his whole moonlighting, to use a highly technical term from Jacob. Right, he's like trying on all these different identities, and like also in this world, right, it's like a little capitalism thing, right? Like that's a way to connect with people, is to sell them something, and he constantly talks about rubbing shoulders. Now he tries to rub shoulders with people, and like his fighting in the end
Trying to build
is
his
just
network.
one way of rubbing shoulders, where you rub so hard it gets raw, and through the clothes and stuff. But he still just wants to connect, and like same thing with the women or whatever. But like that's his route. You've got the shooter guy who's like, like committing to this extreme identity, and then but like disconnecting from it. Like he can't really navigate. Like he doesn't know what to do with this partner who's like this, quasi-sexual partner as well, and blah 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 blah. Anyway, but yeah, I like him.
Can I just? Okay,
That's all I
so
got.
I was gonna.
I'll be back in 2
Well,
seconds.
so the mute character being kind of like content and progressing through the whole thing, obviously is like that's sort of like inspirational on some low level of like, oh, happiness is a choice. You can. There's no situation where like you're so bad off that you can't find yourself out of it, whatever. And I don't think he's like a modernist. I don't think he's operating on like a modernist model, or that he's like represents sort of like modernism in the movie, because I think like part of the point of postmodernism, right, is that you're not just like chained down to any one like identity.
No
or,
grand
like,
narratives.
yeah, there are no grand narratives. You can change. You can become a bunch of different people and take on a bunch of different identities and try on new things.
I like it.
And it's because he's very adept at
But he makes too
living
many,
in
no?
a sort of what?
Don't you think he makes too? Like, okay, I'm down with this actually, right? He's almost
He's
like
very
the epitome
very
of no grand
adept at
narratives.
navigating.
But he makes
he's very
too many
adept
choices.
at navigating. I need to finish this.
Go ahead.
He's very adept at navigating this like postmodern landscape, and that's why in the end he finds himself emerging like from the darkness or whatever. Because I mean,
You don't think you think this is a pro? To me, it seems like his problem is he can't stick with one. He can't stick with the narrative. He just is like this like giga chameleon, whatever.
mhm. he ends up being rewarded for it in the end because he gets the partner girl, and they ride on the motorcycle, and when the camera pans up, it's daytime, and it's no longer nighttime.
Oh, that's true.
So he kind of escapes the dark, uncertain world of this like postmodern, post-colonial, like political, economic landscape, and he emerges from it. He's no longer a fallen angel.
Yeah, he gets to come back into the light. But is that?
That's my grand analysis.
I like this grand analysis. And also earlier I said the narratives don't connect, but yeah, they do with Mute Boy
They meet in the restaurant.
getting the partner girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like
And
their erotic energy.
But
But it doesn't seem like, you know, a what would it be? Like a commendation of his behavior if like to leave the world of the fallen angels or the night whatever is to be with the girl, to have like to develop a grand narrative through the power of love. What do you guys
I
think?
was gonna say like part of like the like him being content at every stage of the story. I feel like that's what ultimately like, even though he's actually probably my favorite character in the movie, yet again it's still quite difficult to connect with him because you're not sure what he wants, and you're not sure what there is to be achieved if he's already happy at like every single point. So like I feel like I like your analysis a lot, but like it still isn't. It makes it hard to connect with him, even though he's probably the most animated and personable character, despite the fact that he can't speak. But like, since there is no clear arc to his story, it's just like difficult to like make contact.
Well, I think, okay, with the him being happy thing, I think he is happy in the sense that he like chooses to be happy. Like he says at one point he's an optimist, but I think he constantly looks sad.
Really?
Like, I don't know. There's like I feel like in a lot of the times when you see him, you know, it's like a lot of like, you know, it's kind of like he doesn't have him not having a particular like long-term direction to anything, which like that ends up being kind of like the change, you know, after his dad dies. He talks about like needing to plan for the future and stuff like that. And I think he like is, you know, like a child, kind of like seeking like little momentary spur of the moment, like moments of happiness, and finding it, but ultimately feeling like unsatisfied. And I think you can see that because, you know, he'll like get done with like one of his little scenes or whatever, and then he looks just kind of sad. But I don't know, and I think that's like his kind of, that's like the biggest emotional development, is that he's like ultimately dissatisfied with like the world and stuff, but he like chooses to believe that there's like a way to be satisfied or something. He's like optimistic, and so he kind of finds these fleeting moments, and then at a certain point, you know, his dad dies, and it's like kind of you know, that like changes the way the world like works for him, you know. And so then he's got to like, he's like realizes he's got to like plan for the future or whatever. I don't know.
I also began to realize that my past behavior had been very irresponsible. I shouldn't have taken over other people's shops, coming and going as I pleased. Every shop
Amen.
has its own feelings. This realization had a profound effect on me. It prompted me to change my ways.
This is also interesting.
Amen.
Amen. This is also, you know, like there's obviously some kind of metaphor with like relationships or something with other people, like with the whole like breaking into shops momentarily, being like, this is fun, and then like leaving. Like that's definitely like I think that's like another thematic. I mean, yeah, I think the ultimate like thematic through line is still kind of like you were saying, Troy, with like some kind of like romantic relationship, and that being like the you know like the ultimately like the most fulfilling like thing or something like that, or like but
It's what they all want.
yeah,
They say over and over.
yeah, but also the but yeah, and I think that like there's definitely like a metaphor, like an image with him like breaking into shops like momentarily too. Like I don't know, he always says that at like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's actually kind of heavy-handed because he's like, because not necessarily a bad way, like talking about how shops have their own feelings or something, and like you can't just like break into a bunch of them and like mess them up and then leave or whatever. But like you have to choose one and work at it.
Yeah. True and based.
This movie made me want to start breaking into shops at night.
This made me want to start breaking into people at night.
Can we address? Can we also address the sunken elephant that needs to be let in to the room?
Yeah, please do.
We need to retrieve the elephant.
I feel like
Elephant.
Yeah, the fallen elephant. We need to go back and retrieve the fallen elephant in the room.
All right.
Wait,
I
I'm
was
worried
just,
no one is seeing the sunken as a sink
No,
thing.
no,
Yes.
we know.
Okay, thank God.
Yes.
Or at least I mean, I don't know about saying.
No, I did not. I did not
So
get
the
that.
mute-
Thank you for filling me in. I love it.
I don't really have anything to say besides the mute character. The mute character is. Hold on. The mute character is Brody. Reminds me of Brody. His quest to escape the dark world of Davis. And I wish he watched this movie and was on the pod right now, because I just love seeing that glint in his eye when he catches a lofty vision of a world which is with. All right. I'm done.
All right. Which female character were you most in love with? I'm going with the partner.
Yeah, I feel like that's easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
The partner's the most like. She's like the least insane, which is saying something.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Well, who are there? There's. Oh yeah, I guess you're right. There is the partner, the schizo prostitute,
Wait,
and the actual just schizo.
wait. I'm confused. Who does Mute Man end up with again?
Mute Man ends up with the partner,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
the
that's-
best girl,
Yeah,
The way it ought to be.
yeah, because
my girl.
yeah, I do. I thought that the. It's funny because like the scene where they're like looking for Blondie or whatever,
Yeah.
and like I feel like I normally would like hate like in basically any other movie I would like find her to be extremely annoying and unlikable, but
Yeah.
that I don't know, that whole scene was so like just fun and like funny. Like I don't know, I was like laughing the whole time. Like I don't know, I don't know. This kind of goes back to the same thing with like the people with the mute guy in the shops, like kind of participating in some kind of game. Like there's some kind of like with that too. There's some kind of indulgence in the this like revenge thing where she's gonna go like kill some chick or something because whatever. Like there's something like she's obviously like sincere to a point, but there's like there's also kind of like an indulgence in the kind of fantasy or like game of it, of going to do something like that, that isn't like, I don't know, because if it was just totally sincere and she was just insane, like I feel like you'd hate her, but for some reason the scenes are like fun and funny and exciting and
Like kids playing.
yeah,
some
like
make-believe
kids
game.
playing.
I don't know. I'm prepared to be sold, but that was a sequence like, where on one hand I love the ice cream sequence, on the other I did not like that sequence of them looking for Blondie. I found it grating.
I'm with John. I actually liked it a lot. I love when that fight breaks out in the dim sum spot,
Yeah,
What seems to be.
Okay, that was tight. I like that. I just didn't like when they're in the apartment
He
building.
accidentally smacks her in the back of the head with a helmet or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and then she returns the favor.
But yeah,
Yeah, I did like I like that part.
The apartment is so funny though. They're like running from floor to floor. They're like, wait, this is the wrong floor, and then it's like
That was
don't know.
funny, but then
I don't think she ever thought that she was actually gonna find her. It's like, why is she doing just running around screaming at people? Like,
Well, we do at that point though. We don't know that she's.
No, he even says
Well, he says after. He says after
Well,
they've gone through all the floors and they're just like flailing around the lobby. He's like,
know.
I don't even think she knows where Blondie lives.
Well, it's like, I don't know. It felt akin to like, kind of, I don't know. I'm thinking of just like romantic comedies, like American ones too. Like, I don't know. This is like less. I mean, maybe there's not exactly a comparable moment, but in some of these, but like I feel like, I don't know if anybody's seen What's Up Doc with like Barbara Streisand, or like I feel like maybe like even I don't know. This isn't like the exact right comparison because I can't think of like an adjacent scene, but like in tone, it felt very much like When Harry Met Sally, or like a Woody Allen film or something, where it's just like silly and fun, and obviously she's acting crazy, but it's like you're there because they're together and it's funny and stuff. It's not like it wasn't like, oh my gosh, like this girl is insane and this guy. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There's something very like that felt like romantic comedy about it, which I think that's actually at many points in the film. Like that's how I was thinking about a lot of the scenes, and I just found them more like funny and fun than anything else.
Interesting, you make that reference. It looks like we've both read this interview. No?
No, I don't know.
The Woody Allen?
What interview?
When asked what guides his creative process, Wong Kar-wai says, "My entire creative journey has followed one single mantra: Woody Allen, but make it gritty."
Dude, that's pretty funny.
That's not real.
Is that
just
real?
saying. No, I'm just saying it.
Oh, I thought that was real. I was like, that's what?
No, but
I don't know,
I like the description a bit. I've only seen one Woody Allen film, and it was pure dog shit, but it was
What did
fun.
you see?
The
Oh, okay.
stupid Midnight in Paris.
Oh,
An English teacher's wet dream,
dude, Midnight in
as
Paris
it's
is
called
awesome.
down south.
Dude, Midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie's
wait,
awesome.
yeah. Timothy Oliphant? Guys, I have to address the Timothy Oliphant in my room. Sam dressed up for the podcast to look like the shooter. And we
What
appreciate
the
that kind of
fuck are you
commitment.
talking about? Fuck you.
Am I right? You know why? Because he's cool.
Should I wear a chain or like a chain?
Yeah, if you had a
link
chain,
around my neck.
if you had a chain, you'd be on him. Dude, I love the shooter. I think he is cool. He's so cool.
I think there's.
I don't mean to get us sidetracked off the discussion of the women of Wong Kar-wai's Fallen Angels, 1995, but the shooter is cool. We all know it. We've all been there. And the partner's masturbation in his bed is
We've all
obviously
been there.
extremely linked to the mutes breaking into shops to try and connect with the people who come or work there. Just like her coming there in the bed where the shooter rests his head, which is what she wants to give to the shooter.
Oh.
1818, a reference to, I can't think of a funny enough joke, but we all know where I was going with that.
To the movie 1917. Roger Deakins shot.
Well, I'm laughing at John sending a photo of Woody Allen with his head just crossed out. Okay.
Yeah, that's you right now.
Listen. Since we are required by our sponsors to make a statement about the Woody Allen allegations, we think that he is... John, I'll let you say it.
We're not gonna make any claims about Woody.
Yeah,
Allen
and
Okay, but what I
You
will
could-
in
say
any event,
is we disavow...
no,
Harvey
you
Weinstein.
can't speak for
yeah,
me.
we just
We
Yeah.
disavow
Harvey's definitely
anything.
not watching,
Harvey...
but Woody might be listening right now. So
Harvey. Yeah, we know for a fact that
I'm
Harvey is
convinced
not
that
listening
Woody
right now,
Allen
but-
bugged my room years ago, but
Years
not
ago.
really sure.
Just to be clear, the podcast does not speak for me. Any claims Troy makes
Okay.
are not my own, and I don't endorse them.
Any claims Troy makes are not my
I do
own.
not. I do not associate with
They're
any
his.
blanket statements Troy or anyone else on the pod makes about the opinions of the podcast.
Jacob
Okay.
would like to apologize on the behalf of Harvey Weinstein for what he did.
Listen, I want the audience to know that before this podcast, there was a lengthy argument between Jacob and I where he wanted to do land acknowledgements, and I wasn't so sure if this was the right kind of platform for
You got
that.
it almost right. I wanted to do cyberland acknowledgments because the cyberspace we're occupying was previously inhabited by the cyber natives, and they were brutally colonized by.
By Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
I just want to acknowledge that this set of
Big
IP
tech.
connections and routers, what would be the name for that? Because, like, right, we are connected by Ethernet cables.
So true.
What would that whole chain of connections be called? Just our network connection? You know what I'm talking about?
It'd be
This
called-
server, I don't know.
The internet.
Yeah. Man, do you ever think about how, like, we're actually
The cybernet.
connected by real physical wires? Unless some of you losers are on Wi-Fi.
Dude, what the fuck?
Man,
Leave me out of this.
that's crazy.
It's the same shit, just EMF waves, you know? Just waves, waving.
Yeah, we
Just
know.
vibes, really.
Vibes. Yeah,
Just vibrations,
and
really.
Sphere.
Yeah, I'd like to make a
Vibes.
vibe acknowledgement.
This vibe I'm channeling, I actually took from someone I met on the corner of Washington and Broadway. They had this, like, really cool jean jacket on, and I thought I should...
And I pimped his vibe.
And I pimped his... You say you pimped his vibe? And I'm pimping his vibe out now. Pimping and pumping. Pimping and pumping and cum dumping slumping.
Alright. Anyways,
Anyway.
Woody Allen ghost wrote this film.
Woody Allen dump truck.
Woody Allen has a dump truck. Woody Allen. Look.
Alright.
Yeah, look. As
Let's
soon as
seamlessly
you reframe this film
transition-
as a romantic comedy, it all makes sense. All your
Listen,
problems go
no,
away.
no. This isn't one of those billion movies that does that. What was I thinking of, though? I had such a good little idea.
What? What does that mean?
That's Roy, what the fuck? You're looking to shoot down John's idea like that? What the fuck?
Ron Kar-wai says his entire creative process was following one mantra: romantic rom-com, but make it gritty.
I feel like. Okay, wait, but okay, listen.
Okay. Listen.
I feel like it functions very similarly to like a good romantic comedy, or to any comedy that has like serious moments that hit, because it has. But like, I don't know. I think thinking about it in terms of a comedy is actually. Like in terms of a comedy, insofar as like the kind of film genre of comedy, not like classically dramatically like a comedy necessarily, but the because it's like it allows for a certain like suspension of disbelief for like very silly or extreme things to happen, you know, and those while still not like dampening or making worse like the emotional moments, you know? Like it kind of gets best of both worlds in many ways by being able to kind of play that line, which I feel like is similar to how a comedy functions. Like you can have somebody get like hit by a car and be fine, you know, in like a comedy, but then they can also have like an emotional moment later, and it's not like less real because they got hit by a car if it's like done right, you know.
I agree with these points. It's kind of like a movie we all love and hold dear to our hearts, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
All right. Yeah, it's actually exactly like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Kind of a ripoff, if you ask me.
Actually, never mind.
I thought it was more Little Miss Sunshine, to be honest. With the mute character, there's the everyone knows in Little Miss Sunshine there's a there's a Nietzschean character that takes a vow of
Fighter
silence.
pilot wannabe.
And
And what happens to him? What does he find out that makes him speak?
I think he discovers the power of true love. Fatherly true love.
Close. He discovers he's colorblind.
Fatherly.
Finds out he's colorblind and he wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Okay. Who's favorite scene?
Favorite scenes. Look, we need to get back to the roots.
Dude,
of what it was like to watch this movie.
Wait.
His dad watching the videotapes.
All right, John's going to
that scene
take
was
the
awesome.
mainstream videotape section's the best. I'm going to come in with the subtle
would hate
take.
to align myself with everyone.
Yeah, let me come in with the subtle, off-kilter, unique, and thoughtful take. I don't know. I just love the shooter. But yeah, videotapes obviously slaps the hardest. Ice cream truck slaps pretty dang hard. Organic coconut water, I'm a fan. I do like the women are evil. I mean, if we want to discuss women overall, if all we knew about them was this movie, I don't think we'd like them very much. If all I knew about women was this movie, I don't think I'd be a fan.
I don't think they're too much better than a lot of the dudes, though. Like,
Mute, all-around good guy. Shooter,
besides Mute,
not a great dude, but kind, and he's soft with the ladies. He even goes to break up with her in person, being naive but of kind heart. Shooter goes and breaks up with crazy prostitute in person. And is that it? It's pretty much insurance salesman looking out for his fellow man. Women.
insurance.
The women are constantly
Masturbate in
trying
their
to
bed.
tear each other down.
Hold on. Masturbate in their bed, then kill them. The Black Widow, as we call her.
This is. I feel like this is bankrupt because you're like applying a moral framework to like this guy breaks into shops and forces people to, and we're like, yeah, this guy's based.
This guy's based.
Because I understand the point, but it's like you have to go from like an emotional framework. Like I still think I don't think the women are unrelatable or like just straight evil. Like they're not just like doing terrible things like on a whim and like
They are
And
though.
the cool guy
Fine,
just
I'll be-
kills people.
Well,
I'll be
so
for
is kind
real.
of
I'll
everyone,
be
though.
I'll
Like,
be for real. The women are the only good people in this thing. The guys are all hopeless losers
mind.
looking for identity.
Never mind.
The guys are hopeless losers looking for connection in a world devoid of it, while the women know what they want, men, and they're tired of these guys being doofy. That's doofuses plural. Being doofy and skirting their responsibilities.
Being lugubrious.
Being lugubrious. And so the women, they have their grand narratives. They all want their special guy. Whereas these guys go on these little abstractions and journeys looking for identity. Blah, 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 blah.
Here's the real take.
But
all these
okay, my bad.
guys.
Sorry, never
Wait,
mind. Here's the
finally.
real take, actually.
Why didn't we
My
start
bad.
with this?
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm sorry I even said anything. I should have just asked Jacob the
Here's the real take.
real take
I started
earlier.
giving fake takes all the time.
Here's the real take. So all the dudes are constantly trying to get their paper up,
What is that?
Dudes are trying to get their paper up.
and the women are trying to distract the dudes from Sigma grinding. And you know, they
What do you call
want
it? Sigmatic.
they want things like
Sigmatic.
love and attention. Nah, fam, it's not gonna help you get out the hood.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, like.
Wait, is this a real
they're-
take or no?
Um,
No, I was talking to John. Sorry, because you just said you had a real take. This joke
This
is
was
not
gonna-
landing.
I was
This joke's
not
landing. Just
going
go.
to make another joke. I was not going to make another joke.
I Go ahead.
I was going to actually kind of act as though Jacob didn't say anything and like, and correct and
It was your time to
and
talk.
expand.
Your time to say something.
Yeah. Okay. Now that Jacob's done, it's my turn.
you're saying my joke didn't land, but consider this.
Considers. I'm sorry, Jacob. If you did you actually have like was there a legit like take?
I just think that the
somewhere,
women
or-
are. I'm just on team women are evil. With respect to this movie.
Yeah, with respect to this movie, in Minecraft.
Because they just
I don't
No,
get it.
you don't get the you know.
the only
You know,
the
people
only,
say like, "I'm gonna bomb a hospital in Minecraft."
the only seeker
You know what I
character.
mean? Jacob's like, I'm on the women are evil grind, with respect to this movie.
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft.
Okay.
The only seeker
This is so
character.
stupid.
The mute character is the only seeker. The rest are just wallowing in their despair, and they're on they got a one-track mindset. And you know where that track is leading?
Hell,
Yeah.
purgatory, eternal damnation, gone from
No,
the
I
light of
think-
Christ.
No, I think that. Yeah. No, I think that's actually like
And hold on.
you know.
I think it's
Before-
fair, but the guys
allow
are
me
basically
to rudely
similar.
interrupt John one more time.
All right.
The only exception is the blonde prostitute character starts wearing a cross partway through the film. And it shows that she has the desire to change, but she's just too beholden to her own weakness and frivolousness.
Frivolity.
In order to actually change.
You might even say she has the wings of desire because she does fly away at the end.
The wings of desire. The she, yeah. I feel like the No, I think that's basically all right. I think, yeah, they are all kind of wallowing and like aren't really seeking change. They're kind of just like pursuing, you know, they all want like intimacy, but the way that they're pursuing it is kind of all very like, I don't know, they all seem very, I mean, I don't know, it's fallen angels, bro. They're all like lost, you know. And there is kind of I don't know, I think, well, obviously they all like act in ways that are kind of you know, condemnable, and we don't like, I don't know, I feel like normally, like I said, in any other movie, like I wouldn't like the chick at all who's like trying to like find Blondie so she can kill her or whatever, like but in this movie there's like the conditions allow for a certain like pity to take place, I guess, too, but also you know, like you get like caught up in like the games that they're playing too, and like enjoying the games as kind of like moments that are, you know, ultimately maybe they're like corrupt, you know, and like have no real direction, when there might be one to like, there might be a direction to actually choose that would be beneficial, as like you know, our mute guy shows. you still, in like moment to moment, you still like relate to them and like enjoy them to a point. But yeah, they all, I think wallowers is a good word. They all are wallowers.
You're a wallower.
The S is silent.
You're a wallower,
Wallower.
Eli.
No.
You're a wallower, Eli.
Okay,
All those wells have been tapped.
That's how Jacob talks about women.
All those pussies have been fucked.
I'm on board. I'm on board with this. But like, I like that the men and the women are basically all fucked in their own masculine and feminine ways.
Yeah.
Also, there's a podcast first that no one's acknowledging. A podcast first, maybe in the history of podcasting, but definitely in our podcast. For the first time, everyone on this podcast has a woman in their life who they love. The the ultimate litmus test here is,
and we're all
did this
blonde.
movie make...
And
Huh?
we're all blonde. What does that say?
And we're all blonde.
Yeah, what does that say?
What does
Troy's
that
very
say?
blonde. It's
What?
Sink in.
Did this movie make you love your girlfriend more?
I definitely
For me, that's a no.
Yeah, it's gonna be a negative.
What I was gonna say
Because
was
I couldn't love her.
Does
more.
anyone
I was
does
reminded-
anyone relate to this type of litmus test? Not that a real litmus test or indicator of much, but
Every
if the
time
movie
you
is
ask
good,
this-
I always love my girlfriend more after.
Every time you ask this, I find it confusing and seems to be more like a trivial, fun. Like, did this make you love your girlfriend more? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I find it confusing and not very meaningful.
Yeah,
Like,
it's definitely not a useful way of phrasing the real idea, but it's fun enough to say anyway.
that's like everything.
And it's
you do.
possible for you to say yes or no. You say it's like everything I say?
It's like everything. Yeah, you'll like say something like outrageous that no one would ever agree with, and then you're like, "Oh, that's not actually what I'm saying." Like,
Well, we're just having
And that's
fun.
like-
But I think I
We're
think it's
always
possible.
having
No,
fun.
I think this is way more coherent because even if, like, okay, this movie's a no, so it's not as fun or it's not as relatable. But if you think of a movie that's a yes, you know,
Yeah.
you can
No,
you
I'm-
can obviously or you can immediately
understand
understand and say yes or no, but you'd say yeah, but I would never phrase it like that.
No, I understand. I understand the point because but watching this movie, you know, I watch like the blonde chick is like, you know, he breaks up with her and she's like freaking out, screaming at him instead of just like talking to him about it or something. I'm not like, oh man, this reminds me of my girlfriend, you know, or oh man, I hate when my girlfriend does this. Like, I feel like what they're doing that's dislikable or something is like, if there is a way for me to relate to it directly with and I feel like this is probably true of basically everyone if your girlfriend is emotionally stable and normal, is like, you're not going to be like, holy crap, like, this is literally me, dude. I've been in this situation, bro. Like,
Well,
woman freaking out, you know?
Well, I'm
I
not
don't know.
saying that like, oh, if the movie does like
I know what you're saying.
movies
Joey.
like
I know
huh?
what you're saying. I
what
feel
are
like
you
it doesn't
saying?
have to be
All right,
necessarily...
forget
No,
about it. I guess
no,
I
overextended.
overextended.
I know what you're talking
Overextended.
about.
Because Cries and Whispers makes me like love my girlfriend more.
Well,
Sacrifice
Yeah, but it doesn't
does.
have
There
to
aren't
be a
even
relatable-
girlfriends in
hold
the
on,
like,
sorry.
storyline.
Let
What
me
John is
Sorry,
saying
let me
like, it
say-
has to do with how much
let
you
me-
relate to it or something.
let me
Let you.
add to this.
Let
No,
me
because
sink
I
in.
I know what I
Let me
do know
sink in.
I do know what you're saying with like, in respects to when it, you know, it's like a positive association, it's like easier to point out and talk about.
We just love
you know?
life more.
Yeah.
If the movie
No,
makes
that
you
makes
love
sense.
life more, you love your
But-
girlfriend more.
But I think that there is like, you know, why I go to relatability, you know, I feel like is because, you know, which I don't know, actually at
It's
the end
not
of it, I
unfair.
feel like this film, if anything, is like, you know, it captures a kind of momentary like romantic feeling, you know,
Yeah,
that
super.
happens that is not that I feel like you don't actually get from a lot of films in a way that like works. And like if anything, it's like that is kind of the most, that's like the least like, you know, because like saying like, oh, do I directly relate to whatever this character and this like woman like is whatever, this is literally my situation or something like that, is obviously unfair. But like the kind of overall point of like the positivity that's found in like small romantic moments, if anything, I'd be like, yeah, that's like, I come away from it feeling like I liked those moments and I recognize some kind of analog to that in like my life that's positive. So if anything, I'd say yes, it does. But I do. So I don't know. When the question's asked though, it's like, you know, I could watch a movie that has nothing to do with like a romantic relationship that's like life affirming still, and whatever, like love my girlfriend more, but that's like that you know, that like you have to be more specific, otherwise we're just gonna be arguing about nothing.
Yeah,
you know?
Which is what we like to do the most.
Yeah, that's my favorite pastime, is arguing about nothing.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight,
saying.
the movie leaves me with a feeling of like kind of not super optimism. Not very optimistic, a little sad, whatever.
Lugubrious.
Lugubrious, perhaps. which might even, you know, make me, I'm so grateful for my real life situation. But not so much in the moment. It's not. Yeah. I mean, I want to continue to operate within the framework of the film. But if I have to take a step back and let myself sink in, I think if I could, you know, if they're a little more narrative, it might have me.
Whoa. What? Wait, hold on. But hold on. Wait.
Holding?
Okay, hold on.
Wait, hold on. I'm holding.
Okay, you're telling me, are there romantic scenes that like hit? That you're like, wow, this is so fun. I love this.
Big time.
Okay. Name one.
Final scene.
Name one.
Final scene where mute and partner link up.
Okay.
Done.
Like watching. Wait. What do they do again? What do they do?
Mute guy in an attempt to engage in human connection and rub shoulders so hard it hurts. He fights some random schmoes, and then afterwards sticks around, and he notices the partner who he's encountered many times, but they've never rubbed shoulders. They had all these opportunities, but something about this time is different. And she kind of undoes her hair, and and it's cute, and we can feel the electricity in the air. And then they ride off on the motorcycle, which every motorcycle scene slaps hard.
Okay.
Yeah, this movie made me want to buy a motorcycle.
And this movie made me buy a motorcycle.
Yeah, that's the real litmus test. Did this movie make you want to buy a motorcycle?
Yeah.
Okay. What you said just a minute ago, though, about like I'm trying to remember exactly what the wording was, but you said something about, this movie doesn't hit something because of narrative. But right before that, you were talking about it as like, you said that like, I'm so glad I'm not in their situation. This is like the same problem with me saying like, this relationship situation isn't literally the exact same thing I've been in, and like I would hate my girlfriend if she did this or something like that. And I'm saying, what's positive, what's like. I mean, I don't know. You're probably just making a different point about your general connection with the film, but like in the moment with the, in that moment or whatever with the girl. I mean, I don't know. The scene that I would like pull out is probably like the one with the girl that's like trying to find Blondie or whatever and kill her or whatever. When he first like falls in love and it's like black and white, and like choppy, and she's just like staring off. Like I love like that. I don't know, that scene I thought was particularly kind of like emotionally potent. But the point being, like, I feel like that, like those moments are like what the real, like a big part of the real takeaway is of like feeling like it's an affirmation of like the positivity of those moments, and that the film doesn't like make. Which, I don't know, I'm not necessarily saying that you're even saying this, saying the film does need to do this, but I feel like there's something about, like, having more of a narrative is to say, like, you want the film to make, like, a larger take on, like, a larger take that, you know, proves some kind of take that is either cynical or optimistic or something about some larger aspect of life, as opposed to, you know, I think the film is setting out to do an affirmation of these small moments as opposed to like some kind of grander claim.
Yeah, I'm saying, operating within the framework of the film, like accepting it for what it is and working within those bounds. I love those moments. I agree with everything you've just said. A number of them are powerful and good. And what I'm saying is, like, stepping away, like, if I leave the frame of the film, right, and just, you know, actually get back to my roots, if this is fair enough. If you want me to cry, if you want the film to have, like, a lasting impact on me and my attitudes and things like this,
Yeah.
if you want, like, the best films, if we're thinking romance or whatever, these things that, you know, make us love our female partners more, there's like, you talk about Cries and Whispers, Sacrifice, whatever, these great things. And
My favorite romance films.
oh yeah, whatever, favorite romance films. Anyway,
No,
I'm just saying I really like those moments. I like it for what it is. I enjoyed it. But I think what's keeping it from having a significant impact on me, or a lasting impact on me, is the lack of a story which speaks to my soul. But
I obviously can't argue with that.
yeah,
But
checkmate.
no, you know, it's like that's just my opinion, bro.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
No. Like, I can't argue with that, but I do think
I just said this one thing.
I do think that the film is, you know, as I said earlier, like the structure of the film and not having as strong of like a particular narrative, which I think after like most of our conversation feel like there actually is a lot stronger thematic and character development and blah 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 to the end than I initially kind of felt there was. But you know, so I don't know. I mean, I understand it is still not a narratively driven film, but like I think it still has quite a bit of that. But the point being, you know, its lack of being driven by the narrative, I think, is also, like I said earlier, is what's good about the film. Like that's like what allows for these transient moments to be as emotionally potent as they are without, like, they wouldn't be as like, I don't think they'd be as like strong as I don't think they'd be as strong if there was like a narrative. They'd be different.
100%.
Yeah, and so I'm saying it seems I just find it annoying to be like, yeah, this film, like what you're basically claiming is that the film would be better if it had a narrative.
Wrong.
Which the film would, okay. Well then how is it not? How is it not that? Because that's literally what you're saying.
No.
This film doesn't hit because it doesn't have a narrative. Like you're just expressing that it has like a
No, the whole purpose of the whole operating within the frame is to say, look, the movie is what it is, and to change it, it'd be a different movie. I see.
Yeah.
You know, I agree with everything you've just said here, right? It's what the film is trying to accomplish and doing quite well, right? Is like forsaking a narrative structure, you know, and enhancing these like this very momentary atmosphere and all these things.
Yeah.
And within the frame, which is to say to accept it for what it is, I think it does it well, et cetera, all these good things.
Yeah.
And but it's the way you would say it. But
outside of that, it's
but
it's
the
just,
way you would
just feel
like,
that you feel that it's like damned in the sense in form.
I don't know if it's damned in form because I don't know, you know, maybe someone else or, you know, some other thing with this form would do it. But to me right now, the way you would say about any film, if you say, look, this film, you know, didn't really, you know, strike into my heart of hearts, and maybe you offer reasons XYZ, right? And then someone says, well, if it didn't have XYZ, it'd be a different movie. Like, yeah, I'm not saying it should have XYZ. I'm saying why I think it didn't strike into my heart of hearts. This movie struck into my heart. This movie struck deep into my heart. But heart of hearts? I don't know.
Okay, that doesn't mean anything. Jacob, you're like, But yeah, the okay, but yeah, your problem is with form though, right? Like, is with the limits that like he picked, and that like even if you think like maybe there is like a like you think that for this film, you guys realize that when you do that, it's backwards, right? Like it's the opposite.
Oh,
And yeah, so it looks like you're like operating the gun with your mouth instead of sticking it in your mouth. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Okay. Just a little visual humor.
But you are.
God.
But you are saying though, I mean, you still are like saying that the film is the way that it is. Like it didn't hit for you because it lacked a certain formal element, right? Like a certain like the form is what is holding it back for you.
That is what it feels like, though I'm not really sure, because I can probably think of things that have, also a non-narrative structure that are extremely striking. But just for example, this like VHS sequence or the video sequence, I can see myself crying at that, but not in this film, right?
Oh, that's what I'm confused by is like why, because and I think that the reason why is probably more complicated than just it didn't.
Well, I just feel like, no, it's not that it didn't. I think it could be a narrative thing. It could be the fact that, like, I think intentionally the audience feels pretty disconnected from the film in general. But I think a narrative also has something to do with that. Yeah, I'm not damning the form. And I think this film couldn't exist without the form, and I love this film.
Okay, but you're saying that there's no way you could watch this film, like
no, maybe I watch it again. Maybe I watch it again and I cry.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Is
maybe
I feel
you could cry for us right now.
Maybe I cry right now.
Just think about it.
Yeah. It's just that there's like I don't know, there's like a finality to the claim that like this film could never make me cry, or this film like is not like if this scene was in a different film then maybe I would cry, but not this one. I don't know. It's just like that's what I'm taking issue with, like that kind of I don't know.
Listen, I'm crawling in the dark in a 3x3 Vietnam jungle tunnel of my own subconscious. Okay, just trying to like navigate my own experience and reflect in whichever way I can. But have you ever tried to make a mirror out of Vietnam jungle soil? You're not going to get far. Okay, so it's hard. I'm just doing my best. I'm not saying that I wouldn't cry if I watched this again right now. I might cry. I might come. Vini Vidi Vici. What is it? Just Vini. Vini Vini Vini. No, I'm not making any claims about the form per se. I'm just trying my best to observe why it didn't strike my heart of hearts.
No, that's fine. I guess just the issue is that you state it as the reason why.
Okay.
And then it's like argumentative. Like now I'm realizing that the issue is that you're stating it, and then I'm like, well, why? And then it becomes an argument as opposed to, I think that the reason why maybe is because of this, and then we talk about it. As opposed to it being like,
listen.
Does that make sense? Jacob wants to die.
I'm feeling like I'm hearing a lot of you statements. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Okay, I agree. Maybe. All right, guys. Let's take a step up. What is art?
Art does not exist.
All right, I'm interested
it's an illusion. Art is an illusion.
Taking the old Rick and Morty approach. Next thing you're going to tell me love is just a series of chemical reactions, baby.
No. This is a Platonic position. This is ripped straight out of the Republic.
Art is a form?
Art is merely...
Like a hexagon?
No, art art is not a form. It is a representation of the
Art
form.
What is
art
the
is
form?
a hexagon.
So the form is the pure, thing in itself, and so all art is merely its derivative of the form, and therefore impure.
Yeah, but
And
what is the form it's derived from?
What do you mean? Like the form of art?
Yeah.
Creation.
Okay.
So you're
It's
usurping
settled
God.
then.
You're usurping God when you make art, and that is,
What?
that's bad.
That's so wrong.
Wait, Wait, say that again. You're usurping God. when
No,
you do
he's
what?
being fake. He's being a charlatan. We all know
I'm-
about Chartres. Or is it
I'm
Chart?
being.
You're being.
You're being a human,
I am being.
human being.
I-
Listeners of the
being-
show will know that I've recently started to dabble in the works of Heidegger
I've recently
and
started
his
being.
existential philosophy concerning the question of being. And Fallen Angels
Anyways,
really.
Art of being what?
What?
Being what?
addicted to cigarettes.
Yeah, being addicted to cigarettes.
of wishing the art of being.
This
of,
movie made me
being
wish.
wishing that you could smoke everywhere.
This movie made me want to smoke. This was a smoking kino.
This
So
movie made me
true.
want to shop on Wish.com
For cigarettes.
for cigarettes and love. Listen,
a vape off of Wish.com. AliExpress vapes.
AliExpress vape.
That's all I smoke.
that's the good stuff. All right.
Well, where now?
I don't know.
We could wrap it up, or
Where
we could
now?
pick up
Where
some
now,
old
Western
classic
man?
arguments. Sam, didn't you and I argue about something ad nauseum the other day? Something movie related.
It was something similar to what John was saying about you making these bold claims, and then and like something.
And then the entire conversation. yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
No,
yeah,
no, this is
because
what I like to do.
we were literally talking about funny games, and we had this whole like really good. We
No.
had like a whole what?
This conversation is banned on the podcast. We're talking about
Well, it's not.
funny
This is not going to
Sorry,
become a
just keep
conversation
going.
about funny games. It's just we were talking about. We were having
That's
like
what
a
you
really
think.
good conversation about funny games, and like, and then all of a sudden he just says, "And that's why I believe this is God talking to me," or something like to that effect. And I was like, "What the."
Games is proof of God's existence.
Yes, yeah. Which is just like totally, basically just like a non sequitur. Although I vaguely understand what you're trying to tell me.
As it matters.
Look, the problem is that Troy is not a single conversation type guy. You have to have hundreds of conversations before you understand anything he's saying.
This is a testament.
when he
This
says
is a
that-
testament to
when
my
he says
ideals
that,
and their
when
veracity.
he says that, when he says that this, like, I kind of know what he's
For the
talking
record,
about,
I know
and that's
exactly
after-
what
that's
Troy
after-
said.
Yeah.
That's
Fist
after.
bump to Elsmore.
No, I feel like the I don't
No,
know.
go ahead.
It's because
No?
it's because I feel like the claims you make are often like sentimentally or emotionally driven. It's like, yeah, this feels right, and then
Yeah.
but you're making them. You're like the way that you state them are almost like as like analytic like arguments where you're like this is literally true because of A, B, and C, when like like the argument to be made is like requires a certain. There's like so many fundamental claims going on.
Yeah, this is what
that are, like,
Dog.
the groundwork.
This is you can blame. You don't blame me. Blame
Dogville?
Trier. Blame
Is that what you
Dogville.
said?
This is what
Why?
Dogville did to me. It gave me incredible moral confidence. I'm a big fan these days, and in general, of
We're just saying what feels right.
generalizing one's own inner experience.
Troy, you have done this
And,
for years.
No.
Yes.
No. I think there's two things going on. Hold on.
Absolutely.
Hold on. I think there's two things going on. One, there's my level of comfort with generalizing my personal experience onto the world, which I think is the right way to go about things. And two, when I introduce controversial ideas, I way strongly prefer to start with a black and white version and then argue out the nuance rather than start with some type of spectrum idea, which is like so lame. And then it's like, what's really the point, If all you want to do is talk about the way in which it's gray, it's like, well, what's even the idea? All you keep talking about is the gray. So I like to start with black and white and work backwards.
Well, I think that the issue with it though is that like you don't. It's not even that you. I mean, I don't know.
Because I have an example. I have a perfect example. But you go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry. Unless you want to hear.
But
it.
okay, now okay. I mean, I'd rather just hear the example. But I also am gonna say this one thing. So when Jacob and you fist bumped, what's on either side of that fist bump, I think, is not the same thing, and I think is incredibly complicated and very. I think your guys' conceptions of what he's hearing and agreeing to is not what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think that what you're, which I don't know. I'm not necessarily against. Because like when you say that, when you make that statement, I'm like, yeah, it's so true, so base. Like I'm with it. But like I know that if we start arguing about it, that there's probably a very large rift between.
Oh, massive! I think that's part of why the fist bump was so funny. But
Yeah.
Elsmore and I we know how to operate in the credibility economy.
The credibility economy.
Yeah.
Does that just mean like when you mention God, you fist bump?
Yes, that's exactly what it means.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my perfect example. So I will introduce this idea as a black and white idea, and then you guys cry because that's what you guys do in the past.
Were you guys trying to shit talk me when I was going to the bathroom?
Big time.
No. Sorry,
What the fuck, John?
Yeah.
All
Hold
right.
on. Let's get an example. Okay, here's the claim. Right. Yeah. Let me quickly generalize my personal experience and transform it into a synthetic claim about the world that applies to everyone at all times. Watching a movie with someone else is wrong and should not be done. And if you want to get
But you don't
really
even think
crazy,
that. You don't even think that though.
yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
Okay.
This is
Sorry.
where the argument's
All right. Let me make more technical. Wait, what'd you say?
I said no, you don't, and this is where the argument starts because we have.
Oh yeah, let me make it more technical. Watching a quote unquote serious film for the first time with someone else is wrong and should not be done. If one shares similar motives to me, which you have to get into like the motivation.
I just feel like you're saying like this is like something you've recently discovered, but this is something you've been doing for almost as long as I've known you.
Yeah. No, this is not a new claim.
Statement,
Oh.
and then
Oh, go ahead.
and then basically like putting it in such a way to where it almost requires someone to argue with you, or like that, like you say something that the average person would find ridiculous, like that. Even though you might be able to convince them, you've immediately made them feel off the rip. They're like, that is wrong. Like, I know you're wrong about this because you've
Yeah, and then it positions, and because of that, the resulting conversation that could have been, let's investigate an idea that neither of us know is for certain. It becomes, Troy is dead certain about this thing, and I know he's wrong, and I have to show him that he's wrong. And then you're like, what? We're on the same page here. We're trying to figure out what's going on.
Just to prove,
we're just trying to figure out what's
just
going
to
on,
prove,
man.
just to prove that I.
Why are you so mad at me, man? We was always on the same page.
Okay, just to
That's
prove to
you,
you
by the
guys
way,
that I
Troy.
know what you're
That's you.
talking. Let me prove that I know what you're talking about. Let me rephrase. I think something we don't think about enough is the company we share when we watch a movie for the first time, and I think it'd be interesting to talk about and think about.
You're purposely
you're making it sound so
lame. Like you're
ridiculous.
purposely
No,
making it sound
you
stupid.
want me to just introduce an idea like,
No,
hey, maybe
let me say it.
let's
Let me
talk
say it.
about this.
Let me say
But
it. Let me
but
say
I
it.
agree.
Let me
Hold
say
on,
it
I
like
want
this.
to
Let me
agree.
say
But there's a tertiary thing. There's the black and white. Let's forget about the gone
Why
stuff.
can't you just ask
Black and
someone
white-
what they think about a subject without asserting what you believe?
What?
Or being
Well, we're having what? We're
like
asking with
like you start with an assertion,
Uh-huh.
and you do it in such a way that is you are certain of this fact.
Hold
Which
on. Why are
then-
you just telling me this? Why aren't you asking me if I do that?
Yeah,
No,
fuck off.
no, Troy.
No,
'cause,
it's
like, 'cause
totally
you'll do this.
fine.
You'll-
It's totally
Troy,
fine to
there are
state
times,
a view.
Troy, it took me a long time to become comfortable with actually, like, telling you that I think you're wrong about something, and I just believed that you believed all of these insane things. Like, and it took a long time for me to realize like, oh, like it's not, because I'm not like the most like disagreeable person, like I'm like a certain level of like agreeable, and so like I think the issue is, okay, so that's one aspect, but the other aspect is, and the thing that I was gonna say earlier was the what was it? Oh, okay, I'm gonna make the statement about like the and like I'm even gonna say as my claim, and say, I feel like watching. First of all, I feel like, or I think, like as like are already a certain level of like uncertainty. It's like I feel like watching a movie with somebody else sometimes ruins the experience, or can totally ruin the experience. Like, and I think a certain kinds of movies, are best watched alone. Now
but this is
that's basically what you think.
Well, no,
right?
no. This is a style difference, or this isn't just a style difference, because I think like your argument is almost about the existence of exceptions, and that like the primary view is that watching movies with other people is fine, and like your claim is about, well, actually there exist some exceptions, whereas like my goal is to like reframe the entire idea of watching movies with people. But I mean,
well, maybe this is a bad example because
I'd like to hear
disagree. Because this is something we actually disagree on. The problem is something where we actually do almost all the way agree, but it starts off feeling as though you believe something entirely different because you're making it. So it's not. I feel like this is
a case of that. No, you think we actually disagree?
No,
I think we agree 98%.
Well, I think different. Probably. I mean, yeah, something like that. But there's also a certain degree to which it's like different but good, like both good, different. And it's like this came up with like the movie we just watched too, where it's like there's like a certain level of like there needs to be a final statement about this movie didn't like knock my socks off 10 out of 10, but I liked it, and that's like
both good.
An important, but like the emphasis isn't on like the exploration of what is also good about this thing. It's about like making claims about the top tier or the number one thing,
I don't know how well this applies to what you're talking about, but I know what you're talking about. And I think, right, just the general idea of both good is fine and true, right? Like, yeah, if we, went down this rabbit hole of company when viewing, we would certainly, right, I'm not going to not say both good. Of course, both good in different contexts, yada, yada, yada. But, like, the point is not to, in this case, whatever, I don't want to get too sidetracked on this specific case, but, like, not to get into the, like, of course there's exceptions, and of course both good in certain contexts. But there is a big difference between what I'm putting forth and what the mainstream conception is, and that's my focus.
Okay, so then, like, the claim should be as stated as one that whose like its purpose is to reframe, as opposed to make a. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could.
Because that's what the claim. Because if the claim is to switch perspective and then make the statement, that's different than, walking up to,
Well, I wouldn't do this.
I don't know.
Also, it hurts my feelings.
Yeah, I know you
the
wouldn't
I
do
think
this,
part hurt my feelings a little bit. Of course, I think.
Sorry. Well,
Come
I know,
on.
but it makes it look. No, I mean, I know you actually do feel that way, but depending on the conversation, it really is hard to tell whether it's like. It's like the fact that I'd have to push you into a conversation where you're like, okay, well, I obviously, nothing is certain, et cetera, in order to feel as though it's like an open-ended thing and not like a this is the way it is thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. The statement feels as though it is a universal claim with nothing else to be talked about when it's stated, as opposed to like an opening to a conversation. And that's what I mean by that's what the I think thing is about. It's not about I don't think that you actually feel that way. It's that it's stated to be that way. And then there's like a framing of it in that way, even though I know better, like, because I've known you for like long enough that you're not going to say things like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm shooting for, is this like I mean,
Like it should be
you'll notice
assumed that you think.
Yeah, it should be a little more benefit of the doubt.
see, I
like
feel
you
like
should
you said-
pretend like it's you saying these things and not, you know.
Yeah, but
I'm
I
not
think I
Elsmore,
almost
guys,
feel like
come
it
on.
comes down to being like it's almost like being it's almost like being polite. Like, of course I'm grateful for what you did, but I'm gonna say thanks anyways. Like, of course you should know that I'm grateful for
That's-
something you've done for me,
yeah.
but I'm gonna say thank you, so that
Nah,
you,
this is different.
so that you know. No, I don't. I feel like it is.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
I think that's right. I think that's right.
It's like because eventually people will become uncertain as to whether or not you're actually thankful. If you're not, it's not like reminding them, but you literally tell someone.
Yeah, but these
What-
these take place in like super different contexts. I agree with what you're saying and the general idea, right? But like thank you is an expression of politeness, and politeness like takes place in like not that like when we're really talking we should be impolite, but like they're at different like social levels.
No, but it's like
If
when
we're
we're
having, like, a
really
super-
talking, you should know that I
Mhm.
that I am polite and that I do thank you or something like that.
I know,
Like,
but you guys don't do this. Like, you don't preface every idea you have with, you know, a million disclaimers that we all assume to be true all the time.
okay, I mean, I don't.
Right?
no,
Every time
no,
you put
no,
forth,
that's-
Well, that- I guess- I
if you
guess- I
put
guess
forth
you're-
any
it sounds
view,
like-
there are literally, I
Well,
feel like you could go through dozens of disclaimers that everyone understands to be
Troy.
true about everyone.
yeah, but this is a
And
very
we're-
very important.
I feel
one.
like the line. I feel like the
What very, very
line
important
of
one?
where you're drawing. I feel like the line of what you're where you're drawing what everyone assumes to be true is way further down the road, a lot of the time than I feel it is.
So I'm
And
like
that-
way more trusting of you guys than
and-
you are of me.
No, not trusting. I'm not trusting you.
I just want to come out and say that I'm on
Jacob's
team.
about to come out.
I'm on team Troy
coming
here.
out. It looks like you're in a closet, Jacob.
Yeah, I tried to immerse myself in the fallen angels world by living in a cramped, closet basically.
What were you saying,
you know,
John?
all-
Go ahead, John.
What the?
Wait, yeah, no, he was talking.
Jacob.
Wait.
Troy, I'm trying to defend you, and you wanted.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't realize that.
Hand it over to John.
The op.
Yeah, I'm trying to run up the ops.
John.
Trying to spin his block. Anyway, I don't really understand what the contention is. I feel like because I also missed some of the conversation, so I'm not like correct me if I'm misinterpreting. But you guys are just taking issue with Troy making like grandiose claims about things, like when you talk about film, and he doesn't preface whatever he's saying with like a more nuanced view than like just trying to like make some sort of absolute.
I mean,
Can we do the
claim
example? Can we do a frame by frame on the example where we can all point to exact things? You know, I'll offer
Sure.
up an even. This is a particularly crude version, right? It's what I said earlier, right? Like I think in the most proper, not really, but kind of proper conversation, I would make the claim super technical and go through every single step, right? Like it's an essay, right? But I say so. Yeah, example begins now. I say that when watching a serious movie for the first time, it's wrong to watch it in the presence of someone else.
But that's not what you said.
John's.
At
Well,
least that's
what
not
did
you
I
said
say?
to me. Movies should be watched alone. Movie theaters should
all right,
be
yeah.
should be
Well, I'm trying to
nuked.
balance. I'm trying.
Done away-
I think I
done
did
away
say that.
with, like,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on.
Oh my
Hold on.
gosh. This is
Well, no,
dude,
hold on. You have to, hold on. No, we
okay.
have to stick with the example. We can't start going crazy. We have to
This is
establish
so
an
bad.
example, and you could say what your problem is with it and what all this stuff. You know.
Okay.
This seems fair, but to Sam's point, I'm trying to balance the technicality. Like if I go so untechnical that not even I feel good about it, right? Like if I just say, fuck movie theaters or something, But I think a moderately but not too technical claim is a serious movie when watched for the first time, is wrong to watch with someone else. You should be watching it by yourself, and it's seriously wrong to watch it with someone else.
So this is okay. Not to nuke the example too
gosh.
much, but just to say
That's fine.
like, this is so real world example.
Uh-oh.
I say I watched this movie this happened several times. I watched this movie. I went to the theaters and watched this movie. It was so good. And the first statement that Troy makes is something like, "That's terrible that you watched a movie in a theater. Why would you do that?" Or like that sounds fun, but that sucks. You watched it with other people, or something along those lines.
That second one sounds more real.
Yeah, and the second
I'm
one.
a nice guy.
The reason I said the second one is because I was refining. But the but it said in like a joking tone and this and that. But it's by opening with that. I immediately like want to like argue with you and not share anything about the movie. Or like, and that the thing is that it's like it becomes. I think that the problem with the way that the statement is made, so that's an example of it being like in reaction to something else, not just like you are starting the conversation and it becomes a problem, but like when you start the conversation, so back to the way that you said it or whatever, just barely your example, it's like you say the claim and the claim is framed in such a way because of the way that it's said. And I think that it is a style thing. Like, I think that the style thing is, like, key here. Is that, like, or, like, a very big part of it. It's framed in such a way that if I am to respond to it, I am immediately opposed to you. Like, basically, like, I have to be opposed to you. And that, like, it becomes more about it's not a conversation about the pros and cons of watching a film with someone or not with someone and why one might not be better. It's about interpreting what you mean, which a byproduct of that is we start understanding a little, we start discussing that, but it's directed. It's not like we're talking about a tertiary thing that isn't either of us. It's like we're talking about your claim and what you think about it and trying to figure out what that is, as opposed to I don't know, which is the thing is like you can still make claims and think things are right, and like I also recently have gotten way more comfortable like making universal, like what you said earlier about like I feel a certain way about something and just like being like, yeah, that's the way it is, and just like stating it like as universal claims. And that's like, I think that that's fine. Like I don't like I understand like the want to lean away from some kind of like neurotic qualifying of like, okay, I know that this is like not for sure, but like like that's like obviously annoying and impractical and not interesting, and also not even what you probably think in the first place. But I don't know. I think what Sam said about like saying thank you or whatever is right in the way that it is like, though I take it for granted that there's like, I should be taking it for like trusting that there are nuances to what you're saying. The way that it's stated allows the it's more about the investigation of those nuances is immediately argumentative and pointed towards you and what you're what you actually think or something, as opposed to talking about the idea.
Two things. One, for the first example about, hey, Troy, I saw a movie in theaters, it was awesome, and I respond the way like that.
Yeah.
I think I want to focus on the impropriety of the second example, because in that case, it like almost doesn't really, like the real issue is it's like a kind of a dick move. Like it's just not nice. Not to like trivialize it, but it's like, what, you tell me you saw a movie and all I do is undermine the validity of your experience of it or something, or like tell you that I think, oh, you didn't really watch it.
Which I realize that, and that's part of why you're saying it, because it's funny. But there's also like, I think the two are still connected though, because I think that the impropriety is still at play in the original example. Yeah,
but what's more glaring in the first example is just me being rude, which I will cop to. But the second one, and not cop to in a way like, that's me,
Yeah.
Tell me you watch a movie in theaters and see what I say next time, buddy. But no, I mean, I think there's just a problem of like to what degree I'll agree with the argumentative nature that's probably unnecessary, you know, and like maybe it could be done away with just like one disclaimer of like, I want to present this, like just saying, hey, I want to present this as an argument, but like whatever. Or you say, I want to talk about this idea I have, and it just starts with, instead of me making a claim for you to argue against, it's just like, I want to tell you an idea, you know. But like with anything, it's like if I know what I'm saying will be disagreeable, and like I have to make some type of reduction move, right? Like I can't lay it all out. Like telling anyone an idea that you know they'll disagree with, and an idea you have to reduce for like just language purposes, you know. So like, play my part in this convo in a way that I think that you feel like undoes most of the like the primary issues. And I'm assuming a context of like, we've come together to talk for reals, you know.
Oh, we come together to talk.
Well, I'm saying like, as opposed to like the phone thing where it's like you're just telling me about something and then like I'm like, you know, raping the conversation instantly.
Well, okay, that's the problem.
Like we're talking right now, is we're really talking.
Yeah. But the issue with that is that we've accepted like a certain amount of like premises that are not present all the time. That like, I think the issue with this is that like the line of we're really talking now, I think this is part, like the framing of the conversation is at play here with like when the state, because I was about to say I'm going to say something, but I'm going to like restate what you're going to say, and I was going to say I'm going to state it as a casual claim, because that's what I feel like you're doing, is that you're like, I feel like it's usually like the context in which that you're making like the universal claims it's usually very unclear what conversation you're having.
I see.
In the first place.
Yeah, like we're in some kind of casual Discord convo.
Yeah.
And then
I
drop something and it's not clear if it's like a nuke or if it's just a little joke or if it's just a.
Yeah, and there's like a lack of reworking. Like you're going to say it as if it's like universally true, you know. It's like, yeah, so I think you're retarded if you think God doesn't exist or something. Like you're gonna like say something like that. Not necessarily that you'd say that.
I would never say that.
Yeah, whatever. But the thing is that you like, it's saying something like that in. That will be that the same statement will be said basically in the same way every single time, and what changes is how you react once somebody reacts to it, you know. And so you asking me to say the claim in a way that fixes the problem, I need a context, because it's like not fair, because
it's not some,
you know, I don't know, it's different based on the context.
It's not so much what I say or when I say it. It's as much what I say as when and where I say it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I think so. I don't know. Sam, what do you like?
Well, so I kind of want to move, not to derail this. I want to give people space, but I also want to, I think we can loop in more people if we bring it into an actual discussion of the claim.
Well, can I just say that, I don't know, as a fellow enjoyer of absurd, like, generalist absolute claims, I just want to say, like, I don't know what the issue is exactly, and like, again, it's kind of hard if there's not like a specific example, and I felt like it was implied earlier that like I just pretend to understand what Troy's saying, but actually I'm just a retard that like is in my own world, and that Troy's making a claim with some substance behind it, and I'm just like agreeing with like the veneer surface level retard claim, and that basically I'm a retard.
Sorry, let me fix
I want
that.
I want to say that
John's in the hot seat now.
I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true.
Okay, wait. Let me.
I feel like, but my point is when, for instance, when Troy or whoever says some like big claim like that of like, yeah, I watched this movie, it made me believe in God. If you didn't feel the same way, then you're a fucking retard. Like, I understand.
Well, hold on. I never say that second part. You guys keep putting on this thing on the end of my statements.
I understand this. Like, I feel like I relate to that sentiment, and I know. Like, I always know what's really being said, and I feel like I don't understand what the contention is with just like hearing some out there claim.
John wants to let him sink in.
Hold up. This is okay. First of all, Jacob, I did not say that you're an idiot for agreeing with Troy or something and you have no idea what you're talking about. What I was saying is that, when Troy makes a statement like that, I'm actually inclined to be like, yeah, that's actually so true,
yeah. But for the pod, he likes to act like he doesn't agree with me.
No,
just kidding, sorry.
but the problem, the thing that I was pointing out was that if you and Troy were to, the conception of God and what you're talking about, there's I think probably, I don't know, I don't want to, I understand Troy's position more than I do your Jacob's, but but I get the impression that there's a strong difference in cosmology that makes the statement matter, like the difference in what's going on when between you two, where there is, there's a severe amount of overlap that you could say matters more or something, which I might agree with, and I might be, and which I think is part of why I'm like, yeah, totally, I get what you mean, I agree with that, or so base, so true, or whatever is probably more realistically I'd respond when a statement like that is made. I was just saying that
how do you think it's different from someone makes an observation that's really high level, and there's all these hidden, there's a bunch of hidden rationalization or reasoning, and at some level you'll just agree with the conclusion, though you don't understand, you may suspect even that you have different reasonings, because I'm on board that Elsmore probably doesn't know my little reason machine, but might just feel comfortable enough with my conclusion, plus some type of maybe credibility.
Feel like just by virtue of me relating to the conclusion, to some extent, you can kind of backwards reason. I don't know. I feel and I do a lot of, for instance, with the whole God thing, right? I do a lot of, just sort of, joking around and LARPing as, being a fundamentalist Christian or something. But actually, I feel like my conception of, God or whatever, probably aligns a lot more with, I don't know,
Richard Dawkins.
I'm not going to speak for Troy, but what Troy probably thinks than something else.
The God element of this brings into problems, because I feel like it's not really what John's talking about, but also God as a subject brings in a bunch of stuff.
It's just an example, right? Because I don't think that you could say, I don't know, I wouldn't agree with something if I didn't feel like I shared a lot of commonality on what we're even talking about.
Sure. Okay, so this is maybe I made a mistake by probably pointing it out in the first place, but I didn't mean to generalize, your ability to there's a degree to which fist bumping Troy. The real problem here is that Troy agreed with me and then doubled down on the part that I said that what you guys are thinking about when you in your conceptions of God is different enough that it makes the fist bump funny.
I think that's part of it.
I think it's definitely part of it, but maybe it's more so that I think Troy's. Oh my gosh, I do not want to talk about like nature of God right now. This is not good.
But I know I do think
but-
it's a God thing because if someone, I think outside of like the the religious community, like
Sure.
if someone says if one guy says to another, I believe in God, and the other guy says, base true, me too. Assuming they're both formidable men and not in this like some they're not Mormons or like fundamentalists or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they have a sense where it's like, I have no idea what you think, but like there's some type
Sure.
of trust
I mean-
about like we're on the same, like we're both on to the same
Yeah.
thing. But I like you're probably on
No.
some schizo stuff. I'm on some schizo stuff. No idea how you got there, but we're
I'm-
probably on the
I'm with
same.
it.
We're on to the same scent or whatever it is.
I'm with it. And if Jacob agrees with that, look, it's unfair of me to point that out as being like an example of what we were talking about before, and I see it as being like probably separate. Even though Sam brought it up as being like, there is the social aspects of it, of the social aspects, there's still it being an absolute claim stated as perfectly true, like right at the end of a conversation, or like, it's relevant in that way. But maybe, the interaction that happened between you and Jacob is obviously like, I'm on board. Like, I'm on board.
Listen,
But
our audience is so mad at us right now because they're waiting for us
So
to finally
interested in
get
this
to the point
conversation.
where they can find out once and for all if it's
scores
evil
are.
to watch a movie with someone else.
no,
Are we don't want to do this?
No.
Okay.
No,
I forgot
probably
we were on
not.
podcast.
I'm down to talk about this. I don't know if I'm down to talk about it right now.
All right.
But
I mean, fine. Long story short, yes.
long story short, everyone agrees, and there's nothing.
I'm
Absolutely.
sure we all have
It's
the
okay.
same take.
I
think
sure
we do.
all have the same take.
Yeah.
I'm sure we all have the same conception of God, and that the differences are.
Oh, to all the viewers, write in the comments down below. What's God?
What do you
is God,
consider-
and why?
what's the
and why
divine
should
for
we
you?
Care
Why should we
about?
care?
Why should we care about your personal conception?
We're back.
And we're back. And we're back.
And we're back. Listen, this movie was good because lots of people worked very hard on it, and it's important for us to. It's important for us to acknowledge that. I think we should start acknowledging that at the beginning of every
Yeah.
podcast because it'll start us off on a positive note. That
That's
like,
true, actually.
we're happy people worked hard on this movie, and we, I feel like we always start off the podcast with some kind of like general weird like, oh, did we like this movie?
Yeah.
Dude, of course we like this movie. People worked hard on it. It's a good movie because people worked hard on it. Okay, now that that's out of the way.
Yeah, on this note, if I can say something.
Now that that's out of the way,
Yeah,
you
I
hated
hate
this.
Now that that's
This
out
is
of the
true.
way,
Look.
this movie's terrible, and I wish they didn't make
Look,
it.
we don't say it enough.
They worked hard
We
on
don't say
it,
it
though.
enough.
They worked
We
too
are surrounded.
It's a little too hard.
Listen, we're living in a golden age of access, and we are just constantly, on a routine basis, watching films of just unbelievable quality. And, sometimes we get lost in the sauce and we start to think, well, this movie sucks compared to Sacrifice, and da-da-da-da-da. But we need to take a step back sometimes
Troy is
and say,
Joy is speaking for
I'm speaking
himself
for all of us.
and not the podcast.
I'm speaking for all the viewers who think, well, yeah, this movie was good, but it's no House that Jack built. And to that, I say, look, maybe you're right, maybe you're not, but sometimes we have to take a step back and realize that this movie is so awesome. This is a movie, Fallen Angels, look, is it getting a 5 from me? I'll tell you now, spoiler alert, no. Would I commit murder to preserve it? Yes. Okay, this movie is awesome.
Wait, what? You commit murder?
Would you not?
Nah, bro. This movie ain't a 5 though. But like, I'd kill somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Would you?
Like,
What have you given a 5 to? What's your 5? Wings
I
of
can't
Desire?
believe we just had this whole conversation, Troy, and then you moved.
Huh. Oh yeah. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Is this a real? Wait, no. Hold on. Is that a real statement? Just say yes or no.
I think it's worth thinking about.
Oh my god! Oh,
Dude,
my
Troy,
god.
you literally. Okay, look, we're gonna rewind.
I'd kill
Tenet
you
podcast,
to preserve this movie.
You know, Troy's,
Dude, the Tenet podcasting. Tenet is
Tenet,
no
Troy
one's
said-
best.
Troy-
No.
Sorry,
I would decorate.
No. Let's not get it. Let's
I would
let's
decorate
let's
your
not get in the
block
weeds. Let's not get in the weeds. Let's not.
to preserve
We're
this
not.
movie.
We're not talking about Tenet. All we're saying is that Troy said that the movie. Troy. Okay, look, Two statements were made. Troy just now said, "I'd kill someone to preserve this."
No,
film.
I said-
Troy has also said. Good thing Tenet was made because on the production someone was saved from committing suicide. Now,
That's true.
let's say, yeah. So you're like, you know, let's say, oh my
Listen.
never mind. This is so bad,
Listen.
dude. This
Yeah, let's
is
take this one offline.
Wait. Now I want to say something, so it doesn't seem like I'm ready to commit
No,
murder
it's okay.
for this
We can
Yeah,
movie.
move
no,
on.
I'm okay. I agree.
no. That's
that
what
I'd
Troy
kill,
said.
I'd kill
Alright,
someone.
I agree with that.
I'd
Let's
kill
move
someone for
on,
this
yeah.
movie.
Yeah, me too.
All right, cool.
I'd
We're all on the same page.
kill Troy.
Anyway, but I thought your point was right. We probably should start off by just saying a lot of people worked on this movie, and
That
we're
we
really,
kill someone.
we're really, yeah, we should. No matter what we're talking about.
I think we can all agree we would nuke Hong Kong if it meant this movie could be preserved.
I would kill someone for a bootleg copy of this movie.
Just a copy.
If
It
there's
was
one,
filmed in a movie.
if there was a
It's filmed in
bootleg-
a theater.
if there was a child holding the last copy of this film, and he's got a death grip on it. you already know what's gonna happen. You already know where that kid's going.
Okay. Final thoughts then?
Can I just jump straight to my rating? Do I have to justify it?
Well, first of all, we have to preserve
You
the
say, "I
Discord.
like the movie,"
the
and then say your
the
score.
Discorder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
first
there
you
we
have to
go.
like
Thank
the movie.
you. Thank you. Yeah. I like the movie.
Wait, you're not
What?
up. You're not up.
No, you're not up. Yeah, there's an
There's
order.
an order to things.
Look, Troy.
Listen,
Troy
you're in-
cheats
the
because
first-
he actually wouldn't be at the top. I would be at the top, but Troy streams, and so he gets put.
Is
at
that
the
really
top
how it
of the list every
works?
time. He does this on
What
purpose.
if I do that?
Yeah.
Oh.
See, now Troy's
Oh,
last.
Is it?
Troy's last.
Okay,
now.
okay. Well, look, jokes.
Roasted.
I didn't. First of all, I didn't know that. Second of all, jokes on you because whoever goes last has the best chance of winning.
Oh, because
Yeah,
they can modify.
because they get to see what
their
people do
score.
before. So we'll see who
Listen,
comes out on top.
alright. All right, we'll see who. What?
You're
Yeah,
under
let's
the
see.
gun. Go ahead.
I like this movie. It's a good movie. I'd watch it again. This is my second viewing. Second viewing, it got better. So I have no reason to believe that the third viewing wouldn't even be better. You know, it hit. I definitely got emotional. Had a couple points in the movie. I don't know, man. It does something a lot of other movies don't do. With these little emotional, kind of very potent, like punchy emotional scenes. You know, the aesthetic is obviously very cool and fun and unique. Glad it was made. This movie is a 3.7.
Hard score to top.
I can't think of a bigger number than that.
I can't think of a bigger number.
Impressive. That's a hard score to top.
That's a big score you got there.
All right.
Where'd you get it?
You got a license to carry that score?
All right. So yeah, I also like this movie. I can't. Well, something I didn't mention earlier was I actually watched this movie 1.5 times. I didn't finish it on the second watch, not because I didn't want to. I did, but for logistical reasons. I actually had to get here on a bicycle, and I had to ride a bike 30 minutes across the city to get to my computer. But
Through the hustle and bustle.
yeah, through the hustle and bustle, and the city was just so dynamic, it really just scattered my thoughts. But uh, basically, I actually liked it a lot more from what I saw on the second viewing, and I plan on finishing it. And I could imagine myself watching this again, just to soak up all the vibes. But I can't say I'd recommend this to someone if they were looking for a movie to watch. Unless they were just running out of great movies to watch. So I'd probably give this movie. I'm thinking. Do I have to add a decimal? It has to be.
Do whatever you want.
Okay, I'm thinking.
Do whatever you want. The score isn't real anyway.
I'm thinking not a hard, not just like a yeah. No, I'll give it a specific one. I'll say I'll give it like a 3.3. 3.
Quick question.
Let's go 3.4. 3.4.
Quick question. What score would you give Funny Games, and would you recommend it to someone?
I don't. Please, let's not. I don't know.
Okay.
I still have told you I don't know if I love or hate that movie.
Okay.
So I can't.
All right.
Go
I'm going to just reiterate a lot of what I said in my opening statement, plus what I've said over the course of the podcast. This movie, it's the ultimate Sigmatic movie. It's got Blade Runner elements, Drive elements, Nightcrawler elements. The interplay between, the characters really feel out their world. The world doesn't feel empty. It feels full, like a full glass of Heineken on a rainy Hong Kong night. Moreover, I just want to reiterate that the mute character is clearly the hero, and he's able to be like water and basically fit the form of any situation he finds himself in, and ultimately that leads him to win the day, win the girl, escape the darkness, and return to heaven. If I were to rate this movie, I think I'd give it. I forget exactly what John said, but it's definitely in the high threes. I'll go 3.7, maybe even 3.8. I'll go 3.7.
Oh, okay.
And I would recommend this movie to anyone, young or old, frail or fit, fat, skinny.
Okay. Okay. Whew.
Dude, every timestamp that Troy has sent me to cut out has been because of Jacob.
Okay. First of all, only Jacob could deliver both the most accurate and true
and brave
summation, while also coming off as insincere. Like throughout it, everyone laughing, but also it's really spot on and insightful.
He says something that sounds like he's making a joke, and then he says something insightful as you're about to start laughing, and so you stop.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like.
So fantastic. Okay, I really liked this movie. It did throw me for a whirl after, with my expectations after seeing In the Mood for Love. But I really liked it. Strong feelings. Really enjoyable characters for the most part. I think the only exception is I wasn't in love with Crazy Prostitute. But I cared for these people. I liked these people. I wasn't a big fan of the sort of distance I felt. But that is, what it's going for, and it does it well. also a good balancing act, because at times you feel really distant and at times you feel really close. And I think we should all just, like, next time we see our dads, just record them doing stuff. And they can watch it later.
Lock them in the bathroom.
We should hit them.
Lock them in a bathroom. I like that.
Hit them with things.
Nonsensically lock them in a small bathroom. I just want to say that I did concoct the score before I knew your guys' score, so it's a valid and true and universalizable, contrary to John's views, and I'm giving it a 3.7. I think you guys are actually really spot on with that score. So we have a 3-way tie here. Sam's the big loser.
Sam lost.
Damn.
Sam's the big loser.
I forgot 3.7 was bigger than 3.4. I thought 3.4 was the biggest number.
It's easy to mix
Yeah,
up.
I thought the scale went backwards.
Yeah.
It's like golf.
Yeah,
All right.
No, I should win.
So, very cool.
Like,
And this will be...
dude, this happens every...
Oh.
Sorry.
This will be the first podcast where I don't tell the audience about the upcoming scene by scene, because it happened. I actually did it. And to massive critical success, I might add.
What movie did you do again?
70,
71
yeah,
Fragments?
71 Fragments.
I skipped through it, and it's pretty interesting.
The problem with that movie...
I didn't actually watch it, to be honest.
No,
but
of
I
course,
skipped through
who
it.
would?
It's just kind of funny. You like skip it.
The
through
problem
it,
is the movie is both too easy and too hard to talk about. So, like, I can talk ad nauseum the whole time and observe all the things that are easily observable, but to get to, like, the really hard stuff, like, I kind of failed on that front, I think. Anyway. So I guess
I want to
you gotta say just one thing?
I wanted to just say
Yeah.
one thing. If I could just say this
Yeah.
one thing. If I could just say this one thing. Jacob, look, I think we gotta follow in Jacob's footsteps here. He's got, or never mind. I just want to commend Jacob on his final statement.
Yeah, it really was
Can we-
awesome.
His
can we
final
rate
statement.
that?
Because
Really,
it
really good.
really did. It really
Inspirational.
Yeah, honestly, like he's introducing like a more like artistic or like poetic way of stating like what he thinks about things, and I mean that totally sincerely. That actually like reveals more than the way that I feel like we often try to state things or talk about certain themes or ideas or something. Like we didn't. I mean, there's like certain the whole like. I mean, this is the problem of doing like a conversational podcast in the first place, so it's not that big of a deal. But like, like we didn't address like the final moments in like a real way, or like get to that point, unless that happened while I went to the bathroom. Like, and like I don't know. Jacob stated it well. It was honestly probably one of the most important parts of the film, and was really strong. Like, I don't know. It was really strong. Like, indicator of the direction of the film, whether it be positive or downward or cynical or optimistic. And like, I don't know. I don't know. Anyways,
While we cower and resign ourselves in our impotence in the face of the problem of intersubjectivity, Jacob rises to the challenge.
Yeah, Jacob rises to the challenge and connects us all.
Yeah.
While we spend an hour and a half talking about why we disagree with Troy all the time, even though we know we don't actually a lot of the time. Jacob is here. He's building bridges.
I'm a poet, and I didn't even know it.
All right, is that all?
Yeah, why not?
Okay,
I'll
cool.
go ahead and say it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.